Part 24. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 234. In fact, they all knew the purpose of Sakeki Hararaku calling a few people to come out for a run. At the beginning, he would personally run with everyone, follow them around, smile and say cheers to everyone. But as time went by, Amamikuruuri suddenly changed from the leader of the team at the beginning to the one who accompanied and reared in the team, which was to exchange the responsibilities with Sakaki Bararaku. Tianhaijuli Yulai knew that what his brother did was just to have more contact with Chi Minjio, and to let Chi Minjio try to rely more on herself during the running process. The brother is trying hard to create a space where the two of them can be alone together. But now, my brother has indeed succeeded initially. Chi Minjio can't hold on any longer. While running, Tianhaijuli Yulai noticed the increasingly painful look of Tianhai Kaimingyu in front of her. His breathing became increasingly rapid, and his body and movements became heavier. Compared with the steady pace at the beginning, Tianhai Kaimingyu's physical condition could now be described as shaky. Judging from Tianhaijuli Yulai's many years of running experience, Chi Minjio was about to faint. 7 bright moons. 7 bright moons. Chi Minjio, Tianhaijuli Yulai called 3 times behind her, "That's enough, you can stop." But even if she was like this, he reminded her to stop. This sister who was 5 minutes behind him was still taking heavy steps forward. In the past, Tianhai Kaimingyu would have stopped without hesitation, then walked behind her and said to herself expressionlessly, "Sister, you can carry me the rest of the way." Then he would definitely smile and say to her, or just flick her head and say, "What kind of running is this?" Then, Chi Minjio will definitely use some weird and clever words to convince herself that she will carry her on her back and complete the rest of the journey on her behalf. That's how it should be. That's how it should be. But now Chi Minjio not only doesn't listen to her words, but even when she's so uncomfortable that she's about to faint, she won't call her sister, and then moves closer to her like before. In other words, it is impossible for Chi Minjio to approach him like before, right? The naughty sister who was willing to hold her arms and call her sister is gone, right? Tianhaijuli Yulai didn't know how to describe her mood, but she felt a trace of loss that came from the heart. I have felt this way before. It was the mood that surfaced when she saw her younger sister swinging alone outside with her head down while she was practicing the piano. That feeling of wanting to help but being unable to do anything and not knowing where to start. All kinds of thoughts were floating in his mind, and they were quickly interrupted by the movement of Tianhai Chi Minjio falling down while running in front of him. Because his legs were numb and weak after running, Tianhai Chi Minjio stumbled and fell towards the road. Fortunately, the speed behind her was not fast, and she could barely support her upper body with one hand when her body went limp. Seeing her sister like this, their current relationship prevented Tianhaijuli Yulai from immediately stepping forward to help her, but Tianhai Kaimingyu quickly stood up again by her own will. She stared straight ahead and started to take another step without saying a word, but as she was not good at exercise, her breathing was so rapid that she was not allowed to continue. The body is swaying, the legs are sore, and he is about to fall again. But this time, someone was there to support her. "That's all right, Chi Minjio." Tianhaijuli Yulai looked at her sister's face that looked like his own. Tianhai Kaimingyu was extremely weak and in a daze. She looked at her sister's face, which was also her own face, and said reluctantly, "Sister must be here to ridicule me." "Why do you think so?" Tianhaijuli Yulai held her arm. "Because I have always been able to eat my sister's leftovers, no matter what my mother cares about." Tianhai Chi Minjio probably didn't want to discuss this matter too much, so she intentionally didn't finish her sentence. "No matter what I do or what I work hard for, I will never finish it. You will always only receive mercy and charity. Doesn't my sister think so? Isn't it true?" She didn't speak hastily or impatiently, but because of her asthma, She sounded a little labored. My sister takes the lead in everything, and my mother's care has only been given to you since I was a child. Every time I see my sister playing to make my mother ecstatic, I feel like I am a dispensable existence. So, on that day, I only then will I leave you alone. Tianhaijuli Yulai remembered that day. It was also the day Chi Minjiu officially met her brother. I don't want to talk about what happened that day. I just know that no one came to see me, and no one came to care about where I was. What I secretly saw when I went back was the same excited look on my mother's face as she taught you, my sister. My mother lied to me that day that you were upstairs, Tianhaijuli Yulai explained. I don't want to blame you, sister. I'm just telling the facts of my experience. Tianhai Kaimingyu pushed away Tianhaijuli Yulai's hand that was holding her and continued to run forward with tired steps. Tianhaijuli Yulai followed and looked at her sister's side face. The emotions in her eyes were so complicated that even she didn't know how to describe her mood at the moment. Chi Minjiu's pace was very slow, and Tianhaijuli Yulai was able to speak smoothly beside her. I can understand Chi Minjiu's thoughts and your mood. But as far as I am concerned, Chi Minjiu, I really can't let go. Tianhai Kaimingyu continued to look forward. Her forehead with swaying hair was level with the sea level of Tokyo Bay in the distance to her right. A few more drops of sweat were clearly visible on it. She did not answer her sister's words. She remained silent as if she was listening to Tianhaijuli Yulai continue to speak. Tianhaijuli Yulai already knew her sister's answer. Of course, for my sister, she is even more unable to let go. No, in fact Chi Minjiu has already tried to let go. She tried to let go of her persistence for more than 10 years. What is clear is that she failed. Tianhaijuli Yulai was also very confused at the moment. She looked at her sister, the sister with whom she was once so close, but she still didn't know how to get along with her and what identity she should use to get along with her. They are hostile, but not completely hostile. They are sisters, but not quite sisters. My feelings for my sister and my feelings for my brother cannot be chosen over either one. And because of dependence, I don't want to separate, even at any point. Tianhaijuli Yulai thought again and again in silence. His eyes met Xiang's twin sister's cheek, and he said, Chi Minjiu, we can try not to be so tit for tat. My sister's words made Tianhai Kaimingyu wake up a little even though she was running in a daze. Although she still didn't look back, she ran forward with difficulty. This does not mean that I give in to you emotionally. You and I both know that we cannot compromise with each other on this point, but you and I also know that our relationship for more than 10 years will not to be honest. I know it's strange to say this, and I don't know if it can be done, but I hope we can treat each other separately in love and life. However, Tianhai Kaimingyu did not listen to what her sister said. She was already exhausted and still ran forcefully, which would only lead to insufficient oxygen supply to the brain. Tianhai Kaimingyu fainted while running heavily. Tianhaijuli Yulai supported her when she fell completely. He looked at his sister, staring at the face of his twin sister who was with him every day. The complicated feelings in her heart made Tianhaijuli Yulai not sure how to face her in the future. But at least now, when she is in a coma, I can still give her the slightest care as my sister. Amamai Kuruori carried Amamai Nanamage behind him and continued to move forward towards Sakakibara Suzu and Amamai Wayuki who had gone away. Asterisk. Are you okay? In the Himari Inchi garden, Sakakibara Raku saw Amamai Kururi who was carrying Amamai Nanami Izuki behind him. Amamai Kururi looked back at his unconscious sister on his shoulder, and Sakakibara Raku, who looked worried in front of him, said, It's okay, I've already seen it. It's probably because Chi Minjiu ate too little before going out, and I usually eat less and have low blood sugar. Sakakibara originally wanted to let Juliuli and Chi Minjiu take the opportunity to get along with each other, and let Juliuli take care of Chi Minjiu while running. If they stay with each other for a long time, even if the relationship between the two does not ease, it will at least improve a little bit. But he didn't expect that Chi Minjia would run away and faint. Could it be that you don't want to lose to Julie Yulai and then compete with Julie Yulai? Tianhai's Higsu stared blankly at the unconscious Chi Minjia, not knowing what he was thinking in his head. Lying on the ground, Sakaki Harasuzu looked up at the sky and asked, "Brother, can we go back by car now?" At this stage, it is absolutely impossible for them to finish the remaining 5 kilometers. Sakakibara knows this. Well, Chi Minjia has fainted. I'm afraid she'll catch a cold if she stays outside any longer. Let's go, take a taxi home. Sakaki Harasuzu was eager to take the car home. She raised a hand, sat on the grass and shouted feebly, "Okay." Everyone called a taxi on the side of the road and asked Amamayuki and Sakaki Harasuzu to get in first, and then asked them to help support Amamai Nanamajetsu who had fainted. Sakaki Hararaku and Amamai Kuruori called for another car and followed them back. In the car, Sakaki Bararaku felt the heat from Amamai Kuruori's body just after exercise. When he was reciting Chi Minjia just now, Sakaki Bara suddenly felt that Julie Yulai and Chi Minjia might have said something. 9 glazed glass. Huh, Tianhai Julie Yulai agreed easily, like a little son, with a warm tone. Did you exchange anything with Chi Minjia just now? Yes, Tianhai Julie Yulai didn't intend to hide it. What did you say? I don't know how to explain it. Sakaki Hara said with relief, "Okay, I won't ask any more questions." He smiled again and said, "I know, I can't match you Julie Yulai now. My own ability is not enough. I said a long time ago that I would find a new goal, but until now I am still a little confused." Don't say that. Sakaki Hara smiled lightly, "Kuriyuri, I don't say this to make you worry, I just want you to know that I will further work hard to improve myself. People look forward and make progress, right? Therefore, Julie Yulai should also look forward." Amamai Kuruori could tell that this was Sakaki Hararaku's unhappy mood in his heart. Deliberately lowering his status, and then encouraging himself to make himself look better in front of him. "Lejun, there's no need to be like this. Julie Yulai, I don't have many advantages. I can only try my best to accomplish what I want to do. Most of the time, I am confused and can't find my direction and sense of existence. Therefore, many times I feel that I can be, it's great that you like it." Sakaki Baro laughed out loud. "Haha, what's wrong with me? I obviously wanted to comfort you, but instead I said some emotional words. I have probably guessed what you and Chi Minjia said. I guess you must be very conflicted, Julie Yulai. On one side is my sister, on the other is me. I hope everyone can take a quiet moment these days, give them enough space, and think about how to get along with each other in the future. Because the relationship between people does not only have two states, hostility and intimate. This is too extreme. Although there will be irreconcilable conflicts in relationships, in life, I hope that the few of us can try to get along again, and then try to find each other's boundaries and solutions." After Sakaki Hararaku said these words, Tianhaiju really even felt bright in his heart. She seemed to sense that even though she didn't tell Sakaki Hararaku the specific conversation she had with Nanamijiu, he seemed to understand her and understand her thoughts. "Okay, in the next few days, I will try to help Zhixia get a YouTube account. After all, this is what I promised her." The next day, Chi Minjia still caught a cold. There is no need to go to the literature club today, but Sakaki Bararaku has no time to spare. He also has to take care of Zhixia and Zhixia's new account. Because of the take me to the bathroom incident, what Raku Sakaki Bara is asked most now is what is his relationship with Amamai Nazuki. Some are said to be in a relationship between boyfriend and girlfriend, some are said to be in a master-servant relationship, and some are said to have betrayed Julie Yulai and prefer the new to the old. Everyone is regretting that such a gentle, sunny, and generous girl like Tianhai Julie Yulai was abandoned by a scumbag. When Raku Sakakibara walks in school, he often encounters indignant looks, as if he has defiled the goddess in their hearts. And what about the facts? Julie Yulai doesn't care at all. You guys really have nothing to do. But having said that, every time Amami no Yuki came to look for him, Sakakihara Raku felt that the classmates in the class could really kill him with misunderstandings and jealous looks. Because she came to find him, either because she forgot something today, or because she wanted to take her to buy food or take her home, so a lot of things happened. Even the two guys, Fujino and Nishijima, sighed to themselves and said that you should be happy for yourself. Happy? What? Sakakibara responded feebly. Today's fried ice cream is delicious. As long as you like it. Why do you look so tired? Because it's tiring to take care of you. Do you hate me? It's not that I hate it. I just find it tiring to take care of you. Thanks for your hard work. If you want to thank me, you might as well have a longer memory. Raku Sakakihara looked at the girl who was sipping some bread on the side. What happened to you in school today? Be lost. Why are you lost? During art class. Where did he go? A place with lots of ginkgo trees. Did you run outside the school? I guess so. Then what? Sakakihara asked next. I was invited home. Who? Male or female? Male, thin, with a chain around his neck and ears. Isn't this a street gangster? You agreed. Accepted. Did you really follow him home? I went back to school and met the PE teacher. Fortunately, it seems that Sakakihara Raku misunderstood. He is not a gangster, but a good person. But that won't do. Sakakibara then warned Amami no Yuki, you can't follow strangers home, and you can't follow strangers. Why? Because they will do a lot of bad things to you. Before you are friends, you are also strangers. People are different. Bad people don't have it written on their faces. You remember this, and I also remember this, don't follow strangers. Is it an order? It's a request. Oh well. Tianhai's Higsyu's tone did not fluctuate, and her expression did not change at all, but she seemed to be remembering this matter. Sakakihara stretched out his hand towards her, bring the manual and a pen. Amami Yuki gave Sakakibara Raku the Yuki Life Care Manual from the small bag she carried with her. Then he watched him lift the leather cover with his thumb and write the 164th and 165th notes on the top with a gel pen. I can't remember so many of my things. That's why I ask you to carry it with you. Take it out and look at it when you are fine or when you get lost. After writing the message, Sakakibara closed the manual and handed it back to Amami Yuki. Then, he looked at the sky on the rooftop, stunned. Tianhai's Higsu also looked at his profile. Don't be in a daze. You are the least qualified to say whether I am good or not. After Sakakibara finished complaining about these things, he looked at the grey winter sky, feeling increasingly depressed. Happy and thoughtful. Even you can see it? Pigs can fly. After Amami no Yuki was silent, this inexplicable sentence suddenly came out. Sakakibara couldn't help turning his head and faced Amami no Yuki's unmoved direct gaze. Only then did he realize that the girl was trying to make him laugh with jokes. But because I have no emotion and cannot get the punchline of the joke at all, it will be even more inexplicable than a cold joke. He couldn't help but lower his head and smile, although the joke is not funny, thank you anyway. Give Le some bread too. Tianhai's Higsu handed out the half-eaten bonkachin bread. Thank you, I don't need it. Sakakibara turned around and noticed that Amami no Yuki suddenly stopped eating bread. It is very curious to see what is going on in the head of a girl who lacks emotions like her, and who has no expression compared to Chi Minjio. But compared to these, Sakaki Hararaku actually cares more about what happened in recent days. He suddenly wanted to find someone to talk to, and Zhigzhu might be a good person to talk to. Yuki Raku Sakakibara said, staring at the snow falling from the sky. Are you calling me? Well, we've been running in the morning for the past 2 weeks, right? Yes. Do you know the reason why I asked you to run? I want people to love running. Why do you think so? Of course not. I asked them to run mainly because I wanted them to strengthen each other's relationship, but it didn't seem to be of any use. Although I would talk to Julie Yulai and Chi Minjiao every day, saying that they care about each other very much, and will pull them together to have a delicious breakfast when everyone is running out of breath. You are there, so Zhigzhu, you should know this, but they are very smart and understand the actual meaning of me asking them to run, so that they subconsciously reduce their contact with each other while running, and there is little communication even when eating. However, it seems that it was somewhat effective yesterday. Sakaki Hararaku was quite emotional. Tianhai's Higsu was quiet for a long time and muttered. Le often goes to accompany Xiaju, and is obviously dating Xiaoki. It seems you understand. Many times I don't like myself very much. When I stay with Julie Yulai, I feel guilty for Chi Minjiao's efforts. When I stay with Chi Minjiao, I feel guilty because of Julie Yulai. Feeling guilty for being nice to me. Julie Yulai still doesn't know about my private relationship with Chi Minjiao. If she knew the situation, she wouldn't know how to develop it. But now, this sign is becoming more and more obvious. Sakaki Hararaku smiled bitterly at Tenkai Nazuki. How about it, after knowing who I am, will you be very disappointed? You keep saying you like me, but you are a scumbag who has 2 things to do. Le no. I am. Le no. I am. Le no. I am. Le no. Sakakibara dared to believe that as long as he continued to say he is a scum, Amamai Yuki, a single Tselid girl, would continue to repeat her words. Can I ask why Zhigzhu thinks I'm not happy to cook? Cooking is nothing. Le is also kind to people. That's it. Le will also give me his room. It's all little things. The utility room is much smaller than a regular bedroom and has smaller windows. I know that. I often forget things and I'm not angry. Because it's not your fault. So, Le is a good person. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 235. What is the most important thing for a person to live in the world? Sakaki Hararaku had thought about this answer in his previous life, and there was only one answer, and that was to want to be loved. Julie Yulai and Chi Minjiao are both people who love themselves. Sakaki Hararaku doesn't think he has done any earth-shattering things or touching stories with them. Some of them just met them by chance and then did something he would do as Sakaki Hararaku. In a sense, I just got lucky. At the same time, he also knew deeply that he was not worthy of either of the 2 sisters. Although they don't care and they won't become decadent because of it, they will still have a grudge in their hearts. Therefore, after Tianhai's Higsu said to himself Le is a good person several times in a row, he felt warmly inspired in his heart. Ha ha ha, it's funny to say it. He was actually told by Zhigzhu that he felt very motivated. Le is giggling again. Sakakibara put his hands on his knees, withdrew his gaze from the rooftop, and turned his head to face Amamai Nazuki's calm face without any emotion. She stared at herself blankly like a cat, as if she didn't understand Sakakibara's silly smile. Okay, let's go downstairs. You are probably full of bread. Go to the music club to borrow a classroom and play the remaining music again. Oh. Help Tianhai's Higsu reset her account that had failed for 5 years. This is a quite large project, and it is not something that can be completed overnight. After uploading 4 videos in a row and still getting single-digit views, Tianhai's Higsu also had questions like, is music really possible? Sakaki Hararaku actually doesn't know much about rock music, but to his ears, Yuki's level is quite good. Her guitar playing skills, judging from Sakaki Hararaku's third-rate guitar skills, can be daunting. I listened to Tianhai's Higsuten's rock music several times and watched her latest video uploaded several times. He discovered a very serious problem. Sure enough, a video without pictures really lacks a soul. Even though he has improved Tianhai's Higsu's original video with only a black background into a pure music video with dynamic sound effects and rolling records, the number of views is still very few. You have to make videos that are full of new ideas. Otherwise, it might take several years for a radio station like this to accumulate fans. No, it can't be like this. Sakakibara pondered for a while and said to Amami Nazuki, who was holding an electric guitar in a daze. Ken's Higsu show up during the video recording. What's wrong? Sakakibara found that Tenkai Yuki fell into a daze. She hugged the rock guitar and shouted softly. What? Why is it H? Humanity sells. This doesn't count as betraying your appearance. Sakakibara then thought about it carefully. In a sense, the appearance really betrayed him. With Tianhai's Higsu's appearance, everyone watching the video is probably not looking at the guitar, but Tianhai's Higsu, right? My love for her music is nothing more than love for the house and the bird. Higsu, don't you like showing your face? Tianhai's Higsu was in a daze again. You idiot, you don't understand me at all. I just don't want to be called stupid by you. Also, don't tell me how well I know you. Sakakibara suppressed his desire to complain, and said seriously to Amami Nazuki's little face that turned towards him, okay, how about you show your hands in the picture? This is always okay, right? Oh. Then the style of your next video will be changed to that of a musical girl who only shows her hands and guitar. How about that? Oh. But then you can't just rely on editing. You have to learn how to shoot videos. Take a video. You don't even know how to take videos, right? Just fix a camera to shoot you. Won't. It's simple. Won't. Higsu won't lie. If she says she won't, it means she really can't. Sakakibara reluctantly raised a hand and said, I'll teach you. He suddenly remembered another important point. By the way, if you want to shoot a video, you need to edit it. Higsu, do you know how to edit dash? Tianhai's Higsu tilted her head slightly, indicating what was that. Well, looking at her like that, I know it won't be the case. Many of the previous videos also had noise at the front, which also proves that Tianhai's Higsu has never edited his own videos. Why has no one reminded her of such an important matter for 5 years? Sakakibara sighed, okay, this is also what I expected. I have a rough understanding of the situation. I will help you design a video plan that suits your style in the next 2 days. As for today, time is running out, so how about going home first? Fried ice cream. Why do you think about this every day? It's delicious. Amami Nazuki was still staring at Sakakibara. I lost to you and Aling. I want to eat this every day. Go to the supermarket to buy some later and I'll make it for you. Asterisk. Today, Sakakibara had to go home early. Cooking for the whole family was the second priority. The most important thing was that Nanamayu had a cold and fever due to her last run. As the initiator of instigating them to go out for a run in the winter, Sakakibara believed that he must show concern. That is, the cooking he is best at. When you have a cold or fever, porridge is something that is unavoidable. After finishing the school affairs, Sakakibara returned home early with the raw materials bought from the supermarket. There were only 2 people at home at this time. Sakakibara put down his school bag, glanced at the cold winter snow outside the window, and opened the door to Nanami's bedroom. There is no air conditioning in the room, so as soon as the door is opened, only the air conditioning mixed with the aroma of the girl's bedroom hits the face. He saw Tianhai sitting on the bed, covered with quilt, reading a book. When he noticed someone pushing open the door, his bright sky-sea blue eyes looked at the person through his gold-rimmed glasses. Sakakibara smiled at the girl sitting on the bed and said, "Good afternoon, are you feeling better from your cold in July? Did I give you permission to keep calling me by that name?" I don't know if it was because of the cold, but Tianhai answering voice was not as calm and awe-inspiring as before, but had a slightly changed nasal sound. "It sounds pretty cute." Sakakihara couldn't help but smile at the girl again, closed the door and came to sit beside her bed. The moment she approached her, the sweet fragrance of green apples from the girl couldn't help but float into her nose. "We can still call you this in private, right? I haven't seen you all day today. You want to say you miss me?" Tianhai put down the book in her hand, and casually swatted away the hand that was touching her. With a low nasal voice, she said dissatisfiedly, "I don't know who caused my current situation." "Well, haha, it seems you understand." "It sounds like my sister doesn't understand." Nanami fully understood Sakakibara Raku's purpose in asking her to run, and also understood his purpose in suddenly leaving at that time, leaving only one sister to accompany her while running. Even if she doesn't like running, even if she is still hostile to her sister, even if she doesn't want to face her sister at all. But she still agreed to Sakakibara's request to go for a morning run together. Sakakibara knew this, and she also knew that Chi Minjia was just accommodating her own thoughts by doing these things that she didn't want to do at all. She did these things just because she didn't want to embarrass herself too much. So he didn't have any objection to Chi Minjia's slightly complaining attitude. Yes, where can you find a girlfriend like Chi Minjia who is in the dark and accommodating you in everything? She got sick and had a fever all because of herself. Understanding this, Sakakibara became more interested in taking care of Nanamayu. July. Little July. Stop doing this. Tianhai Chi Minjia closed her eyes directly, and the sharp and exquisite outlines added to the coldness of her side face. This reminds Sakakibara of the title Ice Flower on the high ridge given to her. Noble, elegant, and full of biting coldness. But Sakakihara knew that Nanamijiya was not exactly this kind of person, and frost was often the weapon she used to defend herself. "What did you eat for lunch?" "Takeout." "Is it delicious?" "Just took 2 bites." "Why don't you eat more?" "You are sick." "It will be good to eat more." "No appetite." "Are you hungry now?" After asking this, Tianhai Chi Minjia had already guessed the purpose of his words. Therefore, the girl deliberately opened her eyes to take a look at him, and found that he had been smiling at her. Why is this guy smiling all the time, still staring at himself? Tianhai Minjia couldn't stand his gaze, so she said, "Okay, if you want to make me something to eat, just go and ask me if I'm hungry. Besides, even if you cook, I don't really want to eat, or I don't want to eat it at all." Alas, Xiao Qiu is still arrogant. "You won't eat it even if I make it?" "If you don't eat it, even if you cook it for me, I don't want to take a bite." "First of all, who said I have to cook dinner for you alone?" Sakakihara smiled. Sakakibara Raku's joking words made Nanamijiya calmly say, "Who cares what you do?" and then lay down from the sitting position. She pulled the sheet over her shoulders. Only a slightly thin figure was left for Sakakihara Raku. Sakakibara took the initiative to move closer to Nanamijetsu, who was lying on the bed. He put his hands on her back and looked over her shoulders at her beautiful side face with a few messy strands of hair. Sakakihara shook her shoulders. "Kiyo, I was joking just now." Tianhai Minjia remained silent and closed her eyes. Her expression did not change or fluctuate, as if she had not heard what he said at all. July, July. Dot. Seriously, you should eat more. Dot. Tian Haikaimingu still didn't respond, pretending that she didn't even hear him speak. Sakaki Hararaku's next words to coax her had no effect. Nanami still chose to close her eyes. She didn't know the next reaction of Sakaki Bararaku behind her, and she didn't want to know. My head was already a little groggy due to the cold, and I couldn't muster my energy and appetite, so I just went to bed. I don't know how long it took, probably half an hour. Tian Haikaimingu was half asleep when she heard the sound of someone opening the door behind her, bringing with it the aroma of prune porridge. It seems that this guy went directly to make porridge. I thought that this guy would continue to come over to apologize or say nice things, but Tian Haikaimingu still decided to ignore him for the past few days. But what about that guy? He actually seemed to sit down next to his bed and started eating porridge shamelessly. Just eat it. While he was eating, he was explaining the process of making these dried plums nonchalantly. He said that it was the yellow plum rain season, so he picked the green plums when they were full of fragrance, and then waited until the hot summer days, that is, the entire season. The dried plums are dried for 3 days and nights during the hottest period of summer. Put this kind of prunes in the porridge, and the sour and astringent taste balances out the aroma of the rice, with a hint of sweetness. Hearing such words made Tian Haikaimingu feel very unhappy and had a splitting headache. Anyway, she couldn't fall asleep and would get up immediately. But as soon as she lifted her body, a spoon immediately touched her mouth. On top is a spoonful of rice porridge. Okay, come on, eat quickly. You're the only one who's so stubborn. You're obviously starving to death. Wait. Before Tian Haikaimingu had time to react, the spoon was forced into her mouth, and she ate the prune meat porridge in one gulp. This made Tian Haikaimingu stunned for a long time. Tian Haikaimingu sipped the taste in her mouth. Just as he described it, the sour plums are combined with the sweetness of the rice and the aroma of the meat, and the combination creates a sweet aftertaste that fills the mouth. Dot. How's it going? Is it delicious? Dot. Tian Haikaimingu lowered her head. A long time passed. Dot. Bring it, bring it. Sakakibara did not pass the bowl over, but smiled happily and said, do you want me to feed you? Who cares about feeding you, Tian Haikaimingu said, blushing and snatching the bowl and spoon from his hand. She was lying on the bed in the bedroom and suddenly said these words with a little blush. Sakaki Hararaku even wondered if she was trying to be cute to him. How could she be so cute? Chi Minjio, you are so beautiful. As the flower of the high mountains, you would blush and say such weak words. Sakaki Hara suddenly wanted to laugh so much. Before you eat Chi Minjio, I need to explain that this is the bowl and spoon I have eaten. This made Tian Haikaimingu, who was biting the spoon, stunned again. Dot. Chi Minjio, aren't you thinking at this time? You have kissed me anyway, why do you care about the spoon? Dot. Tian Haikaimingu showed a rare expression of shame and anger, you don't need to remind me. She quickly finished her dried plum porridge and pushed the bowl to Sakaki Bararaku. Then before he could react, she pulled the quilt by herself and hid herself under the quilt. He wrapped himself tightly and pretended to be dead, leaving only his back. Miss July 2nd, you are too cute like this, aren't you? She was so cute that Sakaki Hararaku couldn't help but want to get closer to her and take a good look at that beautiful face stained by shame. July. There was a cry in the ear, like a warm wind blowing, and the soft hair tickling the ears. Tian Haikaimingu realized that the guy put his face to the side of his face to talk. Do what? Your face is so red. Is it caused by the cold? Dot. Aren't you shy? You're so annoying, go away. Haha, don't pinch my flesh. You have no strength. I just want to ask, if I talk next to your ear like this, does your ear feel itchy? Before Tian Haikiming noticed it, a certain guy had secretly lifted the girl's quilt, got into her bed, and pinched her little hand from behind. Tian Haikiming just wanted to drive this bastard away, but there was no way to drive him away. You guys are really quite shameless. How about we kiss? I've been thinking about this all day, and I'm still catching a cold. Well, I just want to stay with you for a while. What are you waiting for? Let's chat with you. Is it my sister's thing again? Juliuli. I won't talk about Juliuli in front of you, I know you don't like it. Then what do you want to talk about? Anything is possible, dreams, fun things. Except for Juliuli, Chi-Chi had no one to talk to since she was a child. And Juliuli was very busy in the past, either playing the piano or playing the piano. That's why she seemed so withdrawn and out of place in school. Tian Haikiming closed her eyes, ignoring the movement of the guy behind her grabbing her hand. I don't want to chat, I'm tired, let me tell you a story. Tell a story? Sakaki Hararaku remembers that this was the promise he made to Nanami Mingzuki when he was a child. In the past, had she always hoped that she would fulfill her promise, come to her and tell her a story? Well, let me think about the story of the traveler and the little rabbit. How about it? Do you want to hear it? Tian Haikiming closed her eyes and made a nasal sound, yeah. After learning that she wanted to hear his story, Sakaki Hara organized the wording, pondered for a while and then said. A long time ago, there was a traveler. This traveler crossed the sea, the desert, the forest, and countless swamps and mud. When he crossed a continent, he walked out of the forest on a tree branch. At that time, he finally collapsed from exhaustion. A little rabbit carrying a package happened to pass by and curiously asked him, "What's wrong with you?" The weak traveler said it was okay, and then he stood up alone, leaning on a branch. The little rabbit asked again, "Where are you going?" The traveler says, "Go and see a world you have never seen before." Little rabbit asked, "Is this important?" The traveler looks ahead, without home, all that is left is this thought. The little rabbit looked at the package he was carrying, then looked up and said to the weak traveler, "Can I come with you?" "Of course," said the traveler, "but you have no family." The little rabbit shook his head, "No, I have never seen my family. Not long ago, a big bad wolf suddenly came and it always wanted to eat me, so I had to keep moving." That's it. The weak traveler knelt down and stretched out his hands so that the little rabbit could jump on his shoulder. "Come up, I will carry you on my back. You can't keep up with me." The little rabbit thanked the traveler politely and jumped twice on the traveler's shoulder. Having never been in contact with humans, it felt the warmth at this moment and asked, "Are we considered family?" The traveler looks at the road ahead and says softly over his shoulder, "Yes, a family." In this way, the traveler embarked on a journey with the little rabbit, leaning on the branches he picked up on the road. Is it over? Nanami asked. This little fairy tale by Raku Sakakibara is quite lifelike. Of course not. Raku Sakakibara said, and pulled the quilt to cover Nanami's thin shoulders. The flying snow outside the window looked extremely cold, but it seemed to outline the outline of the girl's face in the bed more clearly. Sakakibara continued. Along the way, the traveler and the little rabbit experienced many things, including fatigue, laughter, companionship, and warmth. Together they experienced many stories they saw during the journey, just like a real family. The traveler is usually very weak because of his old age and physical illness, but he is still very kind to the little rabbit. He has delicious food. If he picks apples on the road, he will give them to the little rabbit first. Little rabbit has always been grateful to him in his heart and feels that he is his real family. But when they crossed the mountains and passed through the swamps, much later than planned, the traveler came out like the little rabbit when he first saw him, too tired to walk, even because of the night the cold wind made me sick again, and I was mentally exhausted. The little rabbit also wanted to help him, but he couldn't do anything. The little rabbit, who was anxiously thinking of a solution, realized at this time that he could only chat with him. There was nothing that could really help the traveler along the way, but it only aggravated his shoulders. Wait, so it had to jump into the fire to provide food for travelers when they woke up. Is it over? Tian Hai Kaimingyu asked. It's over. What do you mean by telling this story? It's just a little story. I don't believe it. Okay, actually I'm just saying that you are a bit stupid in July. To me, when I was a child, I just took care of you in a very ordinary way, but I had the courage to jump into the fire without hesitation like that rabbit. Tian Hai Kaimingyu closed her eyes and said, then have you ever thought about what the traveler meant to the rabbit in the first place? Kaimingyu, this is a reflection of myself as a child. Can I think Chi Minjiao that you can jump on the fire for me? What do you think? Tian Hai Kaimingyu turned around, faced him, and met his eyes. The answer is obvious. Stupid. It sounds like you are smart. Asterisk. Sakakibara left the room, smiling and saying that he wanted her to have a good rest alone. To match, he also brought an extra portion of prune meat porridge he made for himself. Tian Hai Kaimingyu glanced at the closed door, then at the chilling snow outside the window, and finally laid her eyes on the prune meat porridge in her hand. In fact, she quite agrees with something my sister said recently. The two sisters were just taking advantage of their brother's softness to get what they wanted. If the brother had not been soft-hearted and had not accommodated himself and his sister in any way, then he could have separated from the two of them, and there would be no need to be in a dilemma between the two of them like now. After all, both myself and my sister are people who are taken care of by our brother. He has always been the one taking care of people, instead of taking care of him by himself and his sister. If one day he really pushes his brother to the limit, he will most likely make the choice to give up completely. Tian Hai Kaimingyu doesn't want to keep someone in a difficult situation, but she doesn't want to make any compromises with her sister. This reminded the girl of what Tian Hai Julie Yulai said during her morning jog, you might as well come and look for anything with which you can get along well with each other in life. She can understand her sister and why she wants to do this. But this. Tian Hai Kaimingyu looked out the bedroom window, seeing the gray sky with white snow. But is this really right? Is it really possible to find a way to be friendly with each other? The more than 1,300 words of the fairy tale are not included in the paid word count, because I wrote it a long time ago. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tou Lan. Chapter 236. The time is approaching Christmas. Tian Hai Kaimingyu's cold has been cured for a week. Near the end of the semester, the snow from the sky and the sea fell on the campus, which caused a lot of discussion. Everyone said that Tian Hai's Hixu was a very strange and beautiful girl. It should be said that she is a strange and beautiful girl who loves rock music. Every day when I go to school, I enter the campus with an expression so bland that I don't know what I'm thinking. The well-proportioned legs, the straight black hair, and the sluggish look as she walked into the teaching building from the school gate with a black guitar case on her back made her look talented and particularly ethereal. No one doesn't like beautiful girls. Just like no one in the entire Ming school refuses to admit that Julie Yulai and Chi Minjiao are great beauties. After one semester, most people have already understood that Tian Hai Julie Yulai and Tian Hai Kaimingyu cannot be conquered. One is an angel, an unapproachable angel. One is a cold flower of the high mountains, a flower of high mountains that will be killed by the eyes if you get close to it. Therefore, after the snow of Tian Hai appeared, admirers appeared who fell in love with her at first sight. Along with it, There were also some guys who claimed to be smart, handsome, and from a good family, who smiled and talked to her politely. But without exception, they were all rejected. The rejection was also very strange. Stare. Staring silently. Staring calmly like a white cat sitting on the desk. Neither spoke nor reacted. Over and over again, even if there are students who admire the beauty of Tianhai's Higsu, sitting at the back table of the classroom and secretly looking at her back, it is equivalent to not having a conversation with her. Why does the new eldest daughter of the Tianhai family go to the playground to sit around every noon? It's snowing outside. That's right, I also saw it. She was sitting there and did nothing. She was just in a daze. Isn't she afraid of the cold? I do not know. What's going on the playground? She has to sit there all the time. At noon this season, the only two sports perverts, Sakakibara-kun and Seiya-senpai, are running. So Amamai-san is peeking at Sakakibara-kun. Maybe it's Senior Kinja. Please. Haven't you heard about what happened between Tenkai-san and Sakakibara-kun before? Tenkai-san went to Sakakibara-kun's classroom and asked him to take him to the toilet. Also, what are you peeping at? He's obviously been staring. Sakakibara didn't even need to turn around to see what was going on in the minds of the students over there in the teaching building who watched him running every noon. With Tianhai's Higsu's identity, appearance, and personality, it was impossible for her not to be discussed in school. The only reason is that this girl is so beautiful and ethereal, so special. But gossip is just gossip after all, and the words of outsiders can never shake the status of Tianhai's Higsu, the eldest lady in the slightest. It will only make people more curious about her. Sakakibara, that's it for today. Senior Kinja smiled and stopped. You could clearly see his chest rising and falling violently because he had just stopped running. I feel that my senior's physical fitness has improved significantly recently, and he can run 3:37 in the 1,500 meters. Sakakibara put his hands on his knees, and the situation was not bad. By the way, the standard for international athletes is 3 hours and 38 minutes. I barely touched the threshold, and without professional timing, the data is highly likely to be inaccurate. Senior, are you planning to take the exam at Eastern Sports University in the future? That's not certain. It's possible to go to another strong sports school. My ideal is to break the Hakone interval record. Senior Kinja said this calmly, but Sakakibara knew how much effort and struggle he had made for his future college life. Sakakibara, you are also the new young master of the Amamai family now, right? Senior, do you know? Well, Senior Kinja nodded. Although I couldn't attend my sister's birthday party that day because of something else, I still got a small gift. Our family also has some business ties with your Tianhai family. Suzu received a lot of gifts, but Sakakibara Raku didn't count them. Senior Kinja put her hands on her back and looked at the snowy sky. Actually, people like us often have no choice but to do it ourselves. After I graduate from college, I have to follow my family's arrangements for the rest of my life. It's really boring. Running an everyday Qianji who is by my side every day is the greatest comfort in my life, so I want to run as much as I can after entering college and not regret being left behind in the future. Senior Kinja straightened up and smiled cheerfully at Sakakibara. Actually, you seem to work harder than me, Sakakibara. You must be chasing something, right? I can feel that running is not only a hobby for you, but also a way to release stress. Got used to. Work hard. For me, having something that I love deeply and having someone who can support my passion is the greatest happiness in life. Sakakibara is still a little envious of his senior, because he knows exactly what he wants and makes little progress in that direction every day. Maybe you also need to find a long-term life goal and work hard for it? Only as your own goal. After separating from Seiya Senpai, Raku Sakakibara came to Yuki Amamai, who was sitting on a bench under the sycamore tree whose branches were covered with snow. Raku Sakakibara was still sweating from the heat after running. As soon as she got close to Tianhai's Higsu, the natural girl with her hands on both sides of her skirt raised her eyes to look at him. The pale pink thin lips clearly did not open, but Sakakihara Raku always felt that she had shouted happiness with her eyes, as indifferent as snow. "Why don't Yuki go to the club first?" Raku Sakakibara picked up the sports coat that was placed on the bench. "Waiting for fun. You go to the club first. I'll go there after my run. You don't have to catch the cold here." Sakakibara unscrewed the cap of the warm water bottle and raised his head to drink water. "Dongle will buy me some bread." Sakakibara Raku almost spit out the water he just drank. "Love, you are waiting for me to buy you food." Sakakibara was speechless. "If you are hungry, you can also go find Suzuchan and Zyoki Zyaju from the next class. You don't have to come here to wait for me." "Oh. Oh. LE is the priority. Only when you can't find LE, you will go to Zyoki and Zyaju. Do you often fail to find them?" "LE is so smart." "It's probably because the three sisters are too busy. Tianhai's Higsu often went to look for them before, but when she went to their classroom, she learned that they were either not there or busy elsewhere. Tianhai's Higsu is often hungry for a long time. And Raku Sakakihara is either in the classroom or on the playground, which is so easy to find. For Tianhai's Higsu, he is an excellent owner who can take him to find food." "Hungry. Okay, okay," Raku Sakakihara said helplessly to the girl under the snowy tree. "Let's go, I'll take you to the school convenience store to buy some food." He took Amami Nazuki to buy 2 loaves of bread at a convenience store, and then Sakakibara took her to Nanamayu's literature club to get equipment. He did not forget his promise to help Tianhai's Higsu shoot the electric guitar solo video. In order to successfully complete today's shooting, he has been specifically checking out the more popular guitar bloggers online this week to learn how to edit their videos and how to make music videos. And what is the length of a video, how to add motion and special effects in the video, etc. Learning these things takes a lot of time, and Sakakibara often stayed up until 1 o'clock in the evening this week. Sakakihara Raku also asked Fujino and Nishijima, 2 senior otakus, about how to help Amami no Yuki's new account gain fans. "Sakakihara, you want to play guitar? And you want to be a blogger?" "It wasn't me, it was someone else." "That rock girl you raised? It turns out you asked for her, Sakakihara." "What do you mean I raised it?" Nishijima held his chin and said, "In my opinion, if a new account wants to quickly increase its followers, the only way is to gain popularity. The key is to gain popularity." "Oh. What's there to think about?" Nishijima. "Speaking of rock, it must be the lonely rock that has become very popular recently." "Little Boji is so cute," Fujino said in an exaggerated tone, very excited. "Have you seen it, Sakakibara?" "That's my wife." "You," Nishijima glanced at her, "are you worthy of calling me wife? Call me Poseidon." The great Porgy has once again sent favors to her devout believers in the latest 8th episode, and you actually want to transgress the gods? Heretic. Asshole. I'm a fanatical believer. Beaumont, 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 Fujino said urgently, quickly crossed himself on his chest, clasped his hands together, and looked up at the sky with eager eyes. It seemed like a god was really coming over there. Pagan. Asshole, you are the infidel. That's my wife. The two of them struggled together, and the classroom was full of stupid looks. Seeing these two guys falling into a self-absorbed state in front of him, Sakakihara Raku didn't realize what they were talking about at the time. Later, when I asked Aling, I found out that they were just talking about their favorite TV series. And what they call hotspots is to play the live songs that appear in it. Raku Sakakihara thought this idea was a good one, and went out of her way to ask Yuki Tenkai if she could play those songs. The answer was no problem. Asterisk. Brother, are you sure this is really going to be popular? In the music classroom, in front of Amami Yuki, who was holding an electric guitar and adjusting it, Suzu Sakakihara asked this question to Raku Sakakihara. Sakakibara smiled and raised his chin, quite confidently. Is it really exciting? Sakakihara Suzu's eyes lit up. I don't know, Sakakibara said with his chest raised. What? What qualifications do you have to be so confident? You have to try hard even if you don't know, right? If you don't do anything, it's even less likely to become popular. Think about it, how did you feel when you were a young voice actor, Aling? What kind of mood? Talking about this, Sakakibara Suzu had more memories. She murmured in a low voice, it is possible that an anime can only say ah and learn to make animal sounds. I practice my skills every day and feel that I can compete with those big people. The voice actors are comparable, but every time I go to audition, I am always a passerby with only one line, and it is difficult to see the end. And after? Then, every day, I just stare at my name and photo on Twitter, which I only have dozens of followers. Speaking of this, in fact, there was a fan who cheered me on at the beginning. He likes, comments and encourages every post that shares his feelings. I am very grateful to him. Sakakihara turned to look at his sister who was lost in memories beside him, smiled and asked, where is the fan behind? Back. He suddenly disappeared later. Maybe he didn't like me anymore. Sakakihara Suzu's tone sounded a little disappointed. Sakakibara Suzu pouted, folded her arms and asked Raku Sakakibara weirdly, who was holding a camera, are you that fan? You stopped doing that after seeing that I have fans. How could that happen? Sakakihara replied with a smile, how could someone open a trumpet account and cheer for his sister every day? Such a cliché thing would happen. And didn't you also check my phone at that time? There is no trumpet account. Sakakihara Suzu believed her brother's answer. She closed her eyes and said arrogantly, indeed, that person's tone is not like what you can say, brother, and he said what he likes the most. Please continue to persevere, I will always support you. Why doesn't it sound like what I said? It's too disgusting, understand, Sakakihara Suzu pouted. Ready? Tianhai's Higsu interjected while holding the guitar. Sakakihara nodded, then you can start when I put the camera away and it snows. Anyway, the scene has been arranged in advance. Raku Sakakibara's online persona for Amami Yuki is that of a stay-at-home girl, pretty and cute. To this end, he also deliberately arranged the music classroom to look like a bedroom. Hope it doesn't overturn. That's it? Okay, I'll count 3, 2, 1, and then we can start 3, 2, 1. As long as Tianhai's Higsu plays the electric guitar, she will fall into a more sluggish expression than usual. Putting her hands on the strings, staring at her delicate white fingers playing a different melody, her mind was empty, and the world was so pure that it seemed like only she and the music she played were left. Although the passionate rock music she plays is incompatible with her pure whiteness like falling snow. But Sakakihara Raku can see that she really likes rock music. I practice this when I go home, and I stay up at night to learn how to make songs. Even when I wake her up in the morning, I can often see her curled up in bed with headphones on. Because of this, she always plays the wrong notes. There was no way to correct it midway, and she had to wait until she finished playing before she could start again. If Sakakibara hadn't read the score, he might have uploaded a wrong version. Pressing the fixed camera, Sakakibara checked the video screen, and then said to Amami Yuki, who had already picked up the bread and gnawed it. Okay, it's done. Let me see, let me see. Sakakibara handed the camera to the anxious Sakakibara Suzu. She held her chin, nodded at the picture in the camera and commented, "It's not bad. Brother, you actually know the proportion of characters and environment in a picture. Don't even look at who your brother is. Maybe it will really become popular." "This depends on luck." Raku Sakakibara took back the camera and looked at Amami Nazuki, who only showed his hands and electric guitar. "I edited the video after I got home in the evening. Yuzuki's first official debut. The video is there." "Oh." Amami no Yuki briefly looked at Raku Sakakibara's smile, and then continued to eat bread quietly. Asterisk. The time came to 11 o'clock in the middle of the night. 5 hours had passed since dinner. The snow stopped at night, but this does not mean that the air is getting warmer. On the contrary, it still remains below freezing. "So hungry." Tianhai's Higsu got up. She sat on the edge of the bed for a while, then put on slippers with her clean and small feet and walked to the bathroom to use the toilet. After coming out, she stared at the sink blankly, seeming to remember something. She turned on the faucet, turned the water to the hot side, squeezed hand sanitizer into her palms, and washed her hands. After washing, Tianhai's Higsu looked at her hands, slightly opened her pale pink lips, and murmured. Article 64. Ellie, what does it say? I forgot, I need to read the manual. Tianhai's Higsu returned to her bedroom and searched in her closet for a long time. Finally, she picked up a piece of underwear and remembered another thing blankly. The bag seems to have been left at school. She came to Sakakibara Raku's door. Knock on the door. Happy. Happy. The door opened. Raku Sakakibara appeared in front of Amami no Yuki with his hair unkempt. The lights were not turned on in his room, and only the computer screen flashed white light in the darkness. Yuki, Sakakibara, who was slightly sleepy, noticed the girl in front of him. Tianhai's Higsu opened her mouth towards him. Are you saying good evening? Sakakibara himself didn't know why he could understand what she meant, but it didn't matter. It's so late, Yuki, why did you come to me? Amami Nazuki was at a loss. She seemed to have forgotten why she came to Sakakibara Raku. Gilialu. Her stomach growled inappropriately at this time, and Sakakibara Raku also glanced at her stomach. Hungry, she looked up and said. Are you hungry again? You really can eat? It's easy to disturb others when cooking so late, and it's too cold. Raku Sakakibara thought for a while. How about I make you some cup noodles? Good. Okay, come and sit in my room. You can't invite girls into the bedroom in the middle of the night. Rules are dead, people are alive, and it's not cold when you stand outside. Just wear pajamas. Cold. Then come in. Are you going to take action against me? What will happen if I attack you? Sakakibara asked. Xiaoqi and Xiaoju will have to call you uncle from now on. This will make everything messy. Okay, the time for joking is over. You come in first while I'm working on something. Amami no Yuki was called into the bedroom that was originally a utility room by Sakakibara Raku. This place was much smaller. Apart from a bed, there was only a square stool on the right side for people to walk. On the side next to the door is a bed against the wall. Deep in the room is the computer desk and bookshelf next to the end of the bed. Sakakibara asked Amami Yuki to sit on his bed first, while he went out to get cold water and boiled hot water for cup noodles. He came back in carrying the kettle, and the cold air outside made him shiver. Close the door and look back. He suddenly discovered that Tianhai's Higsu was actually sitting on his bed looking at the computer in a daze, feeling full of girlishness. Yuki, please stay here for a while until the hot water is boiled. Sakakibara put the kettle on the base and came to the computer. Seeing Raku's movements, Amami no Yuki asked aloud, what is Raku going to do? It's so late. Didn't we talk about it at noon? I'll help you edit the video. Videos that increase fans. That's it? The material Isuzu and I shot for you at noon today. If you want good quality, you must edit it, remove the unnecessary corners of the original video, and then make subtitles before uploading. Sakakibara slides the mouse with his right hand, his left hand alternately presses some shortcut keys on the keyboard. Tianhai's Higsu looked at the outline of his back illuminated by the computer screen. In a bedroom with no lights on, such a back figure is particularly conspicuous. Happy. Do you think the video will increase your number of fans? Maybe. Raku Sakakihara clicked the mouse twice and stared at the screen. The electronic kettle made a sound not far away, but there is nothing wrong with trying hard. Why would LE do this? What to do? Sakakihara turned around. This Tianhai's Higsu looked at the computer monitor. It took Sakakihara Raku 2 seconds to understand. You mean to help you. On the one hand, I promised you from the beginning. It's not my style to deal with things hastily. On the other hand, I actually feel that you have spent 5 years, a total of 1941 works have been submitted, but no one will help you correct your mistakes, no one will help you process the video, or teach you how to process the video. I really can't stand the fact that you keep submitting so stupidly. So I want to help you reset it. Tianhai's Higsu is indeed a little pitiful person. She has been making videos for 5 years, and with only 57 fans, she still contributes every day. Happy. What? Sakakihara Raku found that Amami Yuki, who was sitting on his bed, had been staring at him. The air was terrifyingly quiet, and the only sound in the room was the gurgling sound of boiling water. Yuki. LE is still unhappy recently. Sakakibara turned his back to Amami Nazuki and continued to look at the computer screen. I'm quite unhappy. Why? Tianhai's Higsu looked puzzled and tilted her head slightly. Higsu, you probably don't understand. I told you before that I asked Julie Yulai and Chi Minjiao to run. It should have been a small success. They seemed to be a little closer, but in the past week, they didn't talk to each other while running. It seemed like they were close, but not close at the same time. It was hard for me to ask them since I was in the middle. Sakakibara said distressedly, it feels like running has very little effect now. We need to find a new goal for them to try to get together. Don't know. Let's put it this way, I have to bring them together and let them complete something together. Running is not suitable anymore. They are all running separately now, and I am not allowed to leave. I invited a few people to go for a morning run in early December, and now it's almost Christmas. Not to mention that Suzu gave up running because it was too cold, and even the meaning of Sakakihara Raku Kururi and Nanamajetsu's running was almost gone. So what's the point of him asking a few people to run? So, he felt distressed. Tianhai's Higsu looked at his back silently. Is this Lee's trouble? Yes. LE is a good person. LE is a good person. Why did you suddenly send me 2 good guy cards? Happiness also has troubles, just like me. Regardless of the difference between the worries you understand and my actual worries, Higsu, what are your worries? Rock and roll. What's the meaning? I want more people to know about my rock music. LE is also a good friend, a very good friend. It is difficult for Sakakihara Raku to understand the actual meaning hidden in the preface and non-sublut of Yuki Tenkai. LE, do you also consider me a friend? It has been almost a month since I got along with Amami Yuki. To Sakakibara Raku, Amami Yuki is actually a very well-behaved and quiet child. Although she is occasionally a little naturally dark, her essence is that she is a pure and innocent child. A blank slate of knowledge. Raku Sakakihara was asked by her old man to take care of Yuki and help her understand her family and daily life as an ordinary student. Therefore, I want to say whether Yuki is a friend in the true sense. Yes. Do you like music? This, I quite like it. I will practice the piano even if it doesn't matter. Where's the guitar? I played in the early years. I wanted to be cool, but I didn't have time to stick with it because of my studies. It's a third-rate performance. Amami no Yuki held her hands in front of her body, moving like a cat, and locked her clear eyes directly on Sakakibara Raku's face. Why are you looking at me like that again? Happy. Let's start a band together. Ha. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 237. Ellie, let's start a band. Ellie, let's start a band. Ellie, let's create dash. Stop. In the campus cafeteria at noon, Raku Sakakibara withdrew his hand to stop Yuki Amami under the gaze of many classmates and seniors. He crossed his arms, closed his eyes and lowered his eyebrows. After waiting for the students around him to no longer care about this, he continued to preach to the girl opposite who suddenly came to talk to him. I probably understand, Zhigzhu, your desire to form a band. Then join Tianhai's Zhigzhu blinked. It's not that simple. Sakakibara shook his head. Why? Sakakibara folded his arms and was silent for a long time. After thinking for a while, he opened his eyes slightly and looked at the beautiful natural girl sitting opposite him. The main reason is that I don't want to treat something important with other than pure purposes. Tianhai's Zhigzhu tilted her head slightly, expressing doubts. Raku Sakakibara explained, before you entered this school, Yuki, I stayed in the music club for a while in order to maintain attendance. For this purpose, I also learned piano and participated in an orchestral ensemble at the cultural festival. Tianhai's Zhigzhu seemed to have not completely listened. However, after that, although I still like the piano, and although I still like to use my own hands to play the music I like, although I still can't help but feel itchy when I see an open piano in a shopping mall, but for me said, my love for the piano cannot compare with the instrumentality of the piano to me. I don't want to make a hobby so utilitarian. Li clearly said before that he wanted to form a band. Sakakibara Raku felt that what he just said was in vain. Ailing told you, right? This is different. When I asked Chi Minjiu and Ju Liuli to form a band, the purpose was just to bring them together and create a certain space for them to get along. It was also a bit of a joke. It means, after all, I don't think we can really bring them together with a band. Sakakibara put down his hand. But if Yuki asked me, the meaning of this band would be completely different. From the fact that you touch a guitar every day when you turn off the lights, I know that you really like rock and roll, but I don't like music that much, and it's not a good idea for a newbie who doesn't know anything about rock music to join your band. Kojiki didn't speak for quite a while. So Sakakibara asked, do you understand? Tianhai's Zhigzhu nodded. Then it's good that you understand. Sakakibara breathed a sigh of relief. Then this matter. Let's start a band. Yuki, can't you understand what I mean? Tianhai's Zhigzhu nodded flatly without emotion, yes. And you? Happy. Obviously as long as we form a band, we can bring Xiaoqi and Xiaoju in. So, Zhigzhu, that's not the problem. It's that I don't want to waste your love because of my affairs. Why waste it? Obviously Li's worries can be solved as long as he agrees to form a band. He obviously doesn't have to think about so many things. Ellie, why don't you agree? Why not agree? Sakakibara thought about this question in his mind. On the one hand, as he said above, he doesn't want the things Kojiki loves to become his tools. On the other hand, he no longer wants to give up on something halfway. What he needs is a goal, a long-term goal that is equally important for the first half of his life and even for his whole life, just like Senior Kinja. What he actually needs most right now is this. instead of trying to make do with each other to create a band in the short term just to bring Juliuli and Chi Minjio together. That would be too childish. Sakakibara was happy to see that Amami no Snow still didn't quite understand what he said, so he expressed his meaning to her again as briefly as possible and explained the reasons why he could not agree to her. But after hearing this, Tianhai's Higsu still had that slightly tilted head and a confused expression. You still don't understand Sakakihara's side. He didn't really expect Yuki, a girl like a blank sheet of paper, to understand his thoughts. Happy. I don't understand what Ellie said. I know, but you just need to understand that I'm not going to start a band with you right now. Did Ellie refuse? Yes. Ming Mingle doesn't have any goals now. Of course dash. Etc. Amami Nazuki's words suddenly made Sakakihara Raku fall into deep thoughts again. Yes, even though I don't have any goals now, I can definitely take the band seriously, so why would I refuse? Sakakibara frowned. It seems, not quite right again. He himself doesn't know if he loves music and has the energy to pursue this hobby as a goal just like running. Can I really join a good band like this and help Higsu form the band? What's the use of forming a band without love and perseverance? In the midst of right and wrong, Sakakihara Raku felt that he seemed to understand, but also seemed not to understand. The questions swirling in his mind made him so depressed that he couldn't think of how to answer them. So, he had no choice but to say to Tianhai's Higsu, Higsu, please wait a moment and let me think about it and answer you. Oh. Asterisk. Sakakihara Raku has been thinking about this problem all day. Going to class, after school, running, making dinner. This kind of depression followed Sakakihara Raku all day long. He wanted to find someone to learn from, but he could never find a suitable person to start this topic. After all, it involved the current stage of reconciliation between Chi Minjio and Juliuli. Going to talk to them is the next best thing. After dinner, Raku Sakakihara was alone on the balcony looking at Tokyo Tower under the night sky, and at the buildings in the city that were illuminated by lights inside the glass curtain walls. What's the reason for starting this band? He still couldn't determine the answer to this question in his mind. As the glass door of the balcony was pushed open, he thought it was Tianhai Juliuli who came to talk to him after a break, but he didn't expect that it was Tianhai Juliuli who was wearing square glasses, a handsome face, and a suit. Blue-collar Shigenori Amami walked to the balcony. He is here to collect clothes. I happened to see Raku Sakakibara who was looking back. The balcony is very cold. Amami made Nori looked at him and said. Sakakihara Raku heard a hint of Nanamayu's words in his uncle's tone. Should I say they are worthy of being father and daughter? Although the relationship is not too close, there are still some similarities. The uncle's words were actually asking him what he was doing on the balcony. Looking at Tokyo Tower, Sakakibara replied with a smile. Looking at Tokyo Tower, Amami Shigenori's eyes under his square-framed glasses glanced at the dark sky 5 kilometers away, and finally returned to Sakakihara Raku's face. It looks like you are thinking about something. Sakakibara was surprised at his uncle's sharp intuition, and replied with a normal expression, indeed, there is. What are you thinking about? Tianhai Madayan asked directly, and casually took off his and his mother's clothes, about Kyo and Liuli. They quarreled because of you recently. It felt very awkward to talk about this in front of my uncle. He always had the feeling that his uncle was actually very dissatisfied. Even though the future father-in-law still looks normal. No, Raku Sakakihara said truthfully, and quickly added, but it does have something to do with them. Because of my affairs, Chi Minjio and Juliuli have been in a Cold War attitude. I really want to repair them. Relation. Tell me what you think. Amami Shigenori was still putting away his clothes, but judging from his words, he wanted to hear how Sakakibara wanted to repair the relationship between his two daughters. After that day, in his understanding, his two daughters were in a state of being unable to let go of their feelings. Sakakibara said rather bitterly, "Uncle, to be honest, I don't know how to reconcile them. All I can think of is to get them close to each other, and through proximity, they will accidentally develop a certain affection." Amami Shidanori's movements paused. "Well, this idea is reasonable, close the distance, and then what? What are you going to do?" "I've been asking them to run in the morning before. It seemed to have some effect, but now they just run around again." "Failed?" "Yes." Amami made Nori lowered his hand holding the clothes and pondered for a moment, "But I feel like you are not thinking about this matter. There are many ways to bring them closer without worrying about this matter." "Yes." Sakakihara nodded and told him about his conversation with Zyuki at noon today. Amami Shigenori was holding several pieces of clothing in his right hand and listened to the series of words Sakakibara Raku had just explained to himself. The summary is that you don't want to take advantage of Zhigzyu's hobby, and at the same time, you are confused about what kind of long-term goal you should set. Sakakibara opened his mouth and sighed in his heart that he was indeed his the eldest son of the Amami family. After listening to it, the words he spoke to his heart. He nodded, "Yes. So Ellie, let me ask you, do you have your own goals now?" Uncle said the same thing as Zhigzyu at noon. This idea came to Sakakihara Raku's mind for the first time. "No. No need to do anything. Look for." "So are you looking?" After Sakakibara heard this, the cold wind outside the balcony seemed to penetrate his brain, and his pupils shrank suddenly. Tian Himadayan continued. Your confusion comes from your confusion. You don't know how to move forward, and you don't know how to move forward. Such confusion limits your steps, and it also limits your thinking. Zhigzyu has taken the initiative to open up a path for you, a path that allows you to find your own goals. Joining a band is not about taking advantage of the band, nor is it impure to join a band to reconcile Chi Minjiu and Juliuli through the band. What people pursue on a path is never simple, just like if you love running, but you will also use running to relieve stress, use running to get the enjoyment that attracts your attention, and use running to improve your body and persistence. Amami made Nori raised his head to the clothes drying pole again, stretched out his hand, and slowly took off the remaining pieces of clothing one by one. Loving something does not require lofty ambitions or noble moral character. Sometimes it is just a very simple reason, money, which brings you into contact with this path. This is the beginning. What about the end? What if you can deny your love for this thing because you just want money at the beginning? People are on the road to searching for something throughout their lives. You don't have to have everything clear before you can start. What you lack is just an opportunity. Uncle's words entered his mind slowly. Sakakihara Raku was completely sober as if he had received an enlightenment. Yes, why do you have to deny everything from the beginning? Why did the attempt to use the band to reconcile the two sisters have to be characterized as mere exploitation from the beginning? No one's intentions are pure. Just like Zhigzyu, he will use his own music to contribute to video websites in order to gain fans and attention. Even if you have no goals, you may be able to feel the love through this band and feel the motivation to work hard and move forward. They will even fight hard to get this small band to perform at the Tokyo Budokan. And you can also gain a lot from it. With Juliuli, Chi Minjiu, Aling, and Zhigzyu, their companionship and growth. Witness them as they climb up with him. Witness your small band supporting each other along the way and reaching the pinnacle of your dreams. A company. Isn't this what I look forward to and cherish the most in my entire life? For a moment, Sakakihara Raku felt that his mood was agitated and heated. He seems to really know what he should do and what he should aim for. Amami made Nori stood in front of him, saw his silence, and placed the last piece of clothing on the hanger on the pile of clothes on his left hand. It seems you have figured it out. Sakakibara took a long breath and tried to calm down his excitement. "Thank you, uncle, for being willing to say these things to me. I didn't do anything. In fact, you always knew it in your heart. I just missed a few words to help you clear your mind." Amamai made Nori continued to look at his stepson. "I won't say more. After all, it has been decided long ago that you can handle your relationship yourself. But as a father, I still hope that you will not regret the feelings of either Liulai or Kyo. Especially the kid in July." Sakakibara Raku looked at his uncle, who was feeling inexplicably emotional. "Just listen to him say, when I was 5 years old, I dared to run across half of Japan to find you. I have still been thinking about you all these years." The more she did this, the more clearly I understood how sorry Bertha and I were. She and Liulai, even at the age of 15, she still regards her mother as her goal in life. Even if she knows that Bertha is lying to her, she will still believe it and do it. I ignored their existence. As their father, a person who has ignored them for too long, what I want to see most is that they can get the happiness they want. This is why I started to relax their lives, and not one of the reasons for blocking you, Ali, do you understand? In the neon-lit city of Tokyo, my stepfather's words on the balcony were serious and heartfelt. "Maid Nori, haven't you taken your clothes back yet?" My mother's call came from the living room corridor. "I will do my best," Sakakihara replied solemnly. Amamai Shigenori reached out and patted Sakakibara Raku's shoulder, took the clothes he just took off, pushed open the sliding door of the balcony, and walked in. Sakakibara looked back at his stepfather. This was the first time he felt the care from his father. Uncle Tianhai is actually the kind of person with a cold face and a warm heart, right? He is also a bit arrogant. He could obviously buy some gifts for Chi Minjio and Juliuli on their birthdays to make up for their feelings, but he shied away from giving them gifts on the grounds that it is no longer appropriate. This old father wants to save his face. "I really can't say the words 'I actually love you very much, and I'm sorry for my previous negligence to my daughter.' Can you say it yourself?" Sakakibara couldn't help but think so. He began to imagine his daughter in the future. If he had a daughter, when faced with this situation, he would pat her on the back carelessly, smile and say to her, "Dad actually loves you very much," to ease the embarrassment, right? Sakakihara Raku returned from the balcony to the living room, smiling the whole time. This smile was also seen by Tianhai Juliuli, who helped her mother clean the housework. "What are Lejun laughing at?" Sakakihara didn't think much, and was still deep in his own thoughts, so he answered casually, I was thinking about how I should apologize to our daughter if she gets angry in the future." How could you suddenly say this?" Hearing the words "our daughter," Tianhai Juliuli's cheeks turned red and she tightened her grip on the mop. This was originally a good conversation starter. Sakakibara realized what he had said and saw Amamai Kuruuri's reaction and didn't feel anything strange. But when he saw Tianhai Jurili standing behind him and looking at his mother with a strange expression, Sakakibara's expression suddenly changed. "Why is mom here? What are you talking about, silly boy?" Just as Raku Sakakibara was about to explain, he suddenly noticed that Nanami Izuki, who was sitting on the side sofa not far away and reading a book, lowered his book, revealing an unusually cold face wearing gold-rimmed glasses. The 7 bright moons of Tianhai stared at him coldly. Finished. Sakakihara tried to avoid everyone's gaze and looked around. He found that his mother, Chi Minjio, and Juliuli were all staring at him with different expressions and eyes. Only Sakakibara Suzu, who was watching TV on the couch with a carrot doll in her arms, was so happy that she was carried away and dancing. "I'm laughing so hard. This heroine has nothing left, but the hero is gone and she's still happy here. It sounds like she understands the hero. Ha ha ha, brother. Come on, come and see." Sakakibara Suzu smiled happily and propped herself up from the sofa with the carrot doll in her arms. She laid her hands on the backrest, and waited until she saw clearly that Tianhai Jurili, Tianhai Kaimingyu, and her mother were all looking at her brother. The smile on the girl's face also fell. This scene. Wait a minute, why did she suddenly feel that the heroine in the TV series just now looked like herself? About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tou Lan. Chapter 238. Ellie, do you want to do it? Ah, there is no other way but to do it. But, this is my first time. Me too. But there is no way, this is something that has been decided, and this is not something you proposed on your own initiative. Ellie, it's too much. Why did I go too far? I obviously agreed to your request. But why did Ellie have to agree last night? Because I made my decision at that time, and my uncle agreed after knowing it. As he talked, Sakakibara couldn't help it anymore and asked the plain little face of Amami Nazuki at the other end of the table, by the way, why are our conversations so strange? We are not discussing how to give does the band recruit people. I'm talking about the band, Le Gen is weird. Sakakibara didn't intend to keep the topic on this meaningless joke for too long. Recently, Lao and Amami Yuki sat together to eat in the cafeteria at noon. Many classmates were already speculating whether he was a scumbag. He continued, so, when it comes to this, our division of labor is clear, right? In order to successfully form a 5-member band, Zhigzhu, you go pull a ling, and I'll handle Julie Yulai and Chi Minjiao. Well. Has a problem. Le needs to take care of Xiao Qi and Xiaoju at the same time. Can your body handle it? You have to eat even if you can't bear it? Can it really be tolerated? Asterisk. The end of term is approaching. I will officially enter the 2nd grade in April. Club activities are closed, 2 classes are added in the afternoon, and the entire school is fully prepared for war. Sakakibara doesn't have to worry about any problems with his grades. After all, he has never fallen out of 3rd place since the first month of the semester. Except for the 2 top-level players, Tiankai Nanminjiao and Tianhai Juliuri, he has always been stable. Ranked among the top 3. When walking on campus, people often say hello to him. Most of them are girls, and they often say Sakakibara-kun or Sakakibara-san with a smile. Sakakibara could feel the other person's gaze on him, as well as the feeling of wanting to talk but not daring to do so. Why? Is it because I insist on running at noon recently and gained a lot of fans in school? This made him always hear Tianhai Kaimingyu's venomous words about him when he met Tianhai Kaimingyu by chance in the student corridor in the afternoon. When the influential person on campus comes in front of me, I don't even know how to open my eyes for reading. Sakakibara didn't want to always get used to Chi Minjiao's bad temper, and he didn't offend her. Besides, he didn't even know what he had done. Isn't it the beginning of the month yet? At the beginning of the month? Don't worry, I've taken good care of my menstrual period, and I'm still waiting for you to buy me new sanitary napkins. The girl who wants me to buy 2 packs of sanitary napkins a month, Chi Minjiao, do you think she has an endocrine disorder? It seems like you have no physiological knowledge. About 15 tablets is normal. During the days when you are on your menstrual period, you have to change 1 tablet almost every 2 to 3 hours. With such a large amount of bleeding, no wonder Chi Minjiao didn't feel right in those days. He has a terrible temper. Brother, do you understand why some men are annoying? It's because most men think that only women have endocrine disorders. Tianhai Kaimingyu raised her eyes. In fact, men have much more serious problems than women. They usually suffer from adrenal gland disease, causing infertility. Do you think I don't know that women can be infertile? Tianhai Kaimingyu seemed to see through what he was thinking, and then said, Infertility is the second, and the most important thing is that it will lose its function. She also looked down at Sakakihara Raku's pants. It's true that every time I talk to Chi Minjio, I get angry at her venomous tongue. However, she has a wide range of knowledge, and I can't even compare to her. Sakakihara Raku didn't want to talk about endocrine disorders with her anyway. No matter how venomous you are, aren't you still my girlfriend? Tian Haikiming let go of the hand holding the book, held up the gold-rimmed glasses with one hand, and moved her hair a little behind her ears. I heard that someone always eats alone with a girl at noon recently. It smells good, right? Sakakihara Raku finally understands why Chi-Chi is venomous at him. Vinegar jar. It's just a little jealous jar. I was talking about business. We talk about business in Aunt's bedroom every night? Is someone not satisfied with being my brother? Sakakibara knew that Nanami Mingzuki was just using the situation as an excuse. How could he go to the room every day? Even if he did, he would only ask about the video editing. I have to say that jealous women are really scary. What do you think? Sakakihara tapped his fingers on his shoulders and asked with a smile. If you have any evil thoughts and want to stab you in the back, I won't be the first one. Tian Haikiming simply dropped this sentence, ended this topic, and walked towards the teaching building. Sakakihara watched her confident figure disappear around the corner of the stairs. No more talking? He hasn't found a chance to talk about the band yet. But it's okay, Chi Minjio was originally scheduled for later. Let's get Julie Yulai in first. Thinking about this, Sakakihara walked in the opposite direction. The next day, in mid-December, which was only a week away from Christmas, at 5 p.m., the sky rarely cleared up. The blue sky, which had not been seen for many days, made everyone feel better. During school hours, many female students held books, chatted with their friends, and walked toward the school gate with smiles. Clean long hair, slightly rippling pleated skirt, school bags and shoulder bags of different sizes. In addition to the girls' youthful and beautiful legs under their pleated skirts, the corridor was also filled with the laughter of boys circling each other's backs, and the discussion of secretly observing which girl looked better. It was as if all the stress accumulated throughout the day had been released. After sorting out his books in the noisy campus, picking up his shoulder bag, Raku Sakakihara stepped into the student corridor outside the classroom. At the door of the classroom, he said goodbye to Nishijima and Fujino and walked out of the teaching building. The cold winter wind and sunshine hit my face at the same time, making me feel so comfortable that I couldn't help but pull the scarf around my neck. This action also caused the girl's fragrance on the scarf to enter her nose. Sakakibara glanced at the scarf around his neck. It is said that the fabrics given by girls have an inexplicable fragrance, and now it seems that it is indeed the case. After walking out of the school and walking through the ginkgo slope in front of the school gate, Raku Sakakihara entered a book cafe. The heating in the store made him consciously loosen the zipper of his coat, and he soon saw Tian Julie Yulai smiling at him from the innermost side of the window. Ruri arrived so quickly, 5 minutes earlier than the agreed time. Raku Sakakibara untied his scarf and coat, put them on the backrest of the seat, pulled out the chair, and sat down in front of Amamiku Ruri. I came here in advance and ordered 2 cups of coffee. Amamiku Ruri smiled and pushed the cup in front of him towards Sakakibara Raku. If you look closely, it's Sakakihara Raku's favorite taste. Luli looks very happy. What happened? Tian Julie Yulai showed him another small note that came after payment, which said payment was 0 yen. Yesterday you said you wanted to go out to review your homework alone, so I took a look at this store. They happen to be doing an event, and Lejun's cup of coffee is free. Free coffee? Julie Yulai was not short of money at all, and he was not happy about saving more than 1,000 yen. The reason for her joy was another. She would only be happy because he took the initiative to ask her out. It's just a matter of going out and sitting alone. Don't be so happy. Idiot. Sakakibara Raku, who was suddenly scolded as idiot, couldn't help but look at Amamikuruori, who had a slight resentment on his face. I just heard her say with some dissatisfaction. Lejun, don't you think about it, how long ago was the last time we went out alone? Last time? The last time seemed to be before Aling's birthday. It's been almost a month, and the date was interrupted by Chi Minjiu. No wonder Julie Yulai felt a little complaining. Well, this is indeed my fault. Do you need me to compensate Li Yulai after she returns home? Compensation for what? Of course I'm going to help you squeeze your shoulders, legs, and feet. It's all shameful stuff. Why is this so embarrassing? Isn't it shameful to pinch your feet? Do you have to take off your clothes to be ashamed? Why did you suddenly talk about stripping off? Is there any connection between this? When Sakakibara replied, Amamikuruori realized that the more he thought about it, the more he went wrong. After realizing that he was smiling on purpose, she glanced at him complainingly and tangled her hands in front of her pleated skirt, making a slight squirm. Is it tiring for Li Yulai to be outside like this? Huh, Tianhai Julie Yulai stirred it twice with a silver spoon and was about to drink coffee. Just maintain your gentle image to the outside world. I saw you chatting with other students yesterday afternoon. You were very confident and perfect in front of them. Ah. Yes, there are some. Tianhai Julie Yulai's eyes suddenly became evasive, and the silver spoon stirred the coffee in the cup. The real Julie Yulai is actually a girl who gets jealous easily, right? If Lejun knows, he should talk less to Kaimingyu. Tianhai Julie Yulai seemed to have breath in his mouth. One more thing, that is, Li Yulai is not very frank sometimes. Just tell me when you are jealous. Why do you have to wait until now? Sakakihara held one of her little hands, and the touch was more delicate than a hard-boiled egg. I didn't say you could hold it. Wouldn't it be nice to think of it as your reward for me? Tianhai Julie Yulai blushed and retracted his hand in a panic. After experiencing an awkward moment of being at a loss, he closed his eyes and straightened his waist to adjust his mentality. Sakakibara patted the seat next to him and said, Ruri, come sit here. Come sit here with me. What do you want Lejun to do? This is outside. Tianhai Julie Yulai raised his head and glanced at the coffee bookstore, observing the surrounding environment. Ruri, just come here. Sakakihara just invited Ruri again. Tianhai Julie Yulai didn't know his specific purpose, but if he wanted to sit next to him, he definitely wanted to. So the girl looked around for a few times to make sure that no one was looking at her. Amamikuruori sat next to Sakakibara Raku. She lowered her head slightly and lifted the flaxen hair beside her ear with her hand, revealing a side face as beautiful and delicate as glass. What to do? Tianhai Julie Yulai wore black stockings today. She was already very tall, and her legs showed straight and smooth lines under the pleated skirt. Why do you say it so strangely? Sakakibara Raku really didn't want to do anything bad, but he didn't expect that Amamikuruori himself acted like he was going to do something bad. His face was red and he didn't dare to look at anyone. Ruri, can't you relax a little? Sakakibara turned around, opened his shoulder bag, and took out the teaching materials. Tianhai Julie Yulai shook his head. Isn't it because Lejun asked me to sit next to you before, either to kiss or to hold hands? That's what happens when I ask you to sit on my lap. There's obviously someone sitting next to me. Sakakibara laughed and put the textbook on the table and said, I've always felt that Ruri is particularly cute when she's angry. I would not be happy with such a compliment. But you're actually very happy, right? Tianhai Julie Yulai was exposed, and her heart skipped a beat in embarrassment. I feel like every time Lejun says I'm cute, it's when he wants to kiss me. Why are Li Yulai thinking so much? I asked you to sit here just so you could review your homework with me. You don't really want me to kiss you, do you? No. It's not cute not to be candid. There is no such thing. Okay, Ruri, you're right. Finding her glaring at him, Sakakibara quickly agreed to her idea. Tianhaijuli Yulai answered hurriedly beside him, seeing him reaching out to take his teaching materials to his side. The girl inexplicably noticed his profile. It seems that he has become much more handsome. Lejun has been exercising recently, right? Will my figure also get a lot better? If you hold me in your arms, will you feel more at ease? Tianhaijuli Yulai didn't know what he was thinking, and his face lowered again. Sakaki Hararaku spent a long time sorting out the lessons he was going to review today, and suddenly found that Tianhaiju really was still in the same state of red ears, so he asked. Could Liulai be thinking, it's okay to kiss me when you get home? No, Tianhaijulai's ears turned even redder. Does Liulai like kissing so much? No, Amamai closed her eyes and pushed Sakakibara's face away. This time, she probably had a little more strength and pressed Sakakibara's head against the glass window. My girlfriend is a bit strong. Hug, sorry. It's okay, let's review first. Your grades at the end of the semester will determine your class placement next year. Good. Tianhaijuli Yulai is definitely a person who makes a distinction between business and private matters. As soon as he enters the learning state, he enters the meticulous recognition mode. If some over-the-top questions are involved, the two will discuss each other for a while, jointly give their own solutions, and then compare with each other to unpack the problem-solving ideas step by step. She is very patient and can express her opinions clearly every time. If Sakakibara makes a mistake in any step, she will remind her tactfully and then give her own method. Like this question, the quadrant is expressed as Sakaki Hararaku felt like she was a girlfriend, a teacher, and a sister. With such a patient girlfriend, we can sit together and make progress and learn together. There's nothing more comfortable than this, right? After studying like this for an hour and a half, not to mention that he had already refilled 2 cups of coffee, Raku Sakakibara almost forgot about the real thing. Tianhaijuli Yulai was still immersed in learning. Chu Chuan Shirikan's most famous work is The Symbol of Depression, and he also wrote Modern Views on Love. He is an absolute critic of the traditional concept of marriage, and he also dared to criticize the backwardness of past society, so it is a fallacy to label him as a feudal scholar. Ruri, Raku Sakakibara interrupted Tenkai Ruri and put away his pen. Let's take a rest first. It's almost 7 o'clock. Tianhaijuli Yulai put down the pen in his hand and looked at the sky. It was indeed almost dark. Okay, it looks like it's almost time to go home. The two of them packed up the textbooks they had studied, paid the bill, and walked out of the book cafe. Under night, Sakaki Hararaku and Amamai Ruri were walking on the street together, her pleated skirt swaying slightly beside her. Li. Actually, there is one more thing I want to say to you today. What? Let me be blunt, I want to get you into the band. Band? Tianhaijuli Yulai expressed confusion. Yes, the band. Sakaki Hara smiled at her gaze. How about it, do you want to join our band? When did Lejun join the band? Piano? Or orchestra? No, it's a newly formed rock band. Is it related to my aunt? Well, Zhigzu is the founder, and I am the second one to join. Tianhaijuli Yulai only felt strange. Why did my aunt suddenly want to start a band? Well, you know, she's the kind of person who loves rock music, so it's not surprising that she suddenly said, let's create a band together. It's weird, Tianhaijuli Yulai commented in a low voice, but it's true that my aunt likes rock and roll. She has been learning it since very early and persists every day. She probably hid her desire to create a band for a long time. Real thoughts? But why did Lejun join this band? Tianhaijuli Yulai asked again. This is a long story. Sakakibara Raku explained as he walked, telling Amamikururi what he understood yesterday, his passion to find a path through the band, to feel love, and to feel the motivation to work hard and move forward. I understand, she said after listening carefully. How about it, Lee Yulai? You can come too. We can perform together and practice together in the audience. It doesn't matter even if we are rejected by the world. We will work hard together until we are recognized by the world. After Tianhai Julie Yulai heard this, she picked up the shoulder bag hanging in front of her skirt. She raised her sky blue eyes that were shining brightly under the street lights and looked into the sky. Well, what Lee Jun said just now makes me feel very much. If you stick to a path or something, you will have the idea of joining, So, Sakaki Hara waited for her answer. I reject. Sakaki Hararaku was surprised by Amamikururi's answer. Tianhai Julie Yulai smiled, her streamlined flaxen hair shining brightly under the light, and she said, in Lee Jun's vision, he must be pulling everyone over, right? That's right. Then Le Jun must be recruiting Chi Minjiao to join the band, right? Of him. Tianhai Julie Yulai withdrew his gaze and looked squarely at the tree shadows stretched by the street lights not far ahead. So, Le Jun, I have no reason to join. These days I have been trying to deal with the relationship with Chi Minjiao in life, but the more I get along with Chi Minjiao, the more I find out how much she hates me. It's right to hate my sister. After all, I took away a lot of things from her since she was a child, and Tianhai Jurili's eyes fell on Sakaki Bararaku. I took away the thing she had valued most for more than 10 years. After a while, Tianhai Julie Yulai continued to walk forward with his head lowered, as if he had not said anything just now. Guilt, hesitation, reluctance, and not wanting to surrender to his sister. Sakaki Hararaku saw these emotions in Amamikururi's body. Julie Yulai definitely had a relaxed attitude towards Chi Minjiao. This is something Sakaki Bara is sure of. It was also the only effect of asking them to go for a morning run together. Sakaki Bara did not immediately persuade Amamikururi, but waited until she walked to a food stall selling handcakes and asked her if she wanted to eat something first. After receiving a definite answer, he ordered another handcake for her. Wait, while continuing. Julie Yulai told me before that she wanted to get along well with Chi Minjiao in life, right? Tianhai Julie Yulai was silent for a long time, then looked at the stall owner packing handcakes, and replied in a low voice, yes, and I have tried it, but Chi Minjiao doesn't want to reconcile with me, not even a little bit. How did Julie Yulai see Kaiming you? Now Sakaki Hara took out the money, took it, and handed it to Tianhai Julie Yulai. I don't know what to say either. Tianhai Julie Yulai held the handcake filled with meat and intestines in both hands, and the lights of the vehicles driving on the street on the right illuminated the green hair around her ears. Not only the hot breath exhaled from the mouth, but also the thin down on the girl's cheeks were reflected clearly. After the girl took a careful bite of the handcake, she continued to whisper. Chi Minjiao Le Jun, I don't want to give you Le Jun to her, but I do want to be sisters with her. At least, we don't want to be so quarrelsome. When we get home and see each other, we turn a blind eye and are indifferent. The dispute between Chi Minjiao and Julie Yulai. In the end, it was Julie Yulai who was the first to give in. There may be a reason why Julie Yulai couldn't talk to anyone but herself at home. Chi Minjiao is used to being alone, but Julie Yulai is not like this. So Li Yulai Chen still wants to reconcile with Chi Minjiao, even if it's a small amount. But you take into account the various factors that will arise in the band, and because of my relationship with Julie Yulai, Chi Minjiao will become even more unhappy when she joins the band and sees us staying together. Julie Yulai, you are afraid that we will further irritate you 7 bright moons. Le Jun turns out to understand my thoughts. Sakaki Bara took away his portion of the handcake, left the stall with Juriuri, and continued walking on the street. Julie Yulai, You don't need to worry about this at all. You have to understand that if we maintain a relationship on the surface, we are already irritating Chi Minjio. If she wants to fight with you, she will definitely be mentally prepared accordingly. Lejun is saying that Chi Minjio won't be hurt more just because we are in the same band. I'm afraid that our actions will make her uncomfortable. She is a jealous person to begin with. Then let's be more restrained. And Julie Yulai, you really don't need to take this too seriously. Didn't you say that you won't soften your attitude when it comes to relationships? So show your identity as your girlfriend in front of Chi Minjio. On the contrary, this is your proper reaction. If Chi Minjio can't beat you, doesn't that mean she has no ability? Lejun is right. Ahem, that's a bit too much, but it's true. Li Yulai, didn't you say that love and life should be separated as much as possible? You and Chi Minjio are rivals in love, but they may still be good sisters in life. It's like they cherish each other. The opponents are average. Tianhai Julie Yulai hesitated. I don't know if I can do this myself. The two of them walked onto the overpass, and the neon lights and advertising photos of Shirogane Takanawa Commercial Street were colorful. Julie Yulai, not knowing whether I can do it is not a reason to refuse. Amamai Kuruori looked towards Sakakibara Raku's determined face. It's because I don't know if I can do it, so I have to do it. If I don't do it, who knows if I can't complete it. It won't help to keep wandering in confusion. Then Lejun, can you explain why we want to join the band? Stand firm in your beliefs. Tianhai Julie Yulai blinked. You and I are both people without any goals, and we can't find any way forward. Try to think about it. How long has it been since the last time we said we would try to find our goals at this stage? Almost 3 months. That's right, Julie Yulai, it's been almost 3 months? And what are we doing now? Just getting through each day. That's right, we can't find the direction in the confusion. We obviously have time to be confused, but we don't use this time to actively try something we haven't touched before. This is like the emperor's new clothes. We are doing it in the same way, self-deception in a way that is uniquely your own right. Tianhai Julie Yulai listened carefully to his firm words. A road is placed in front of you, and you have no direction, but you are still hesitating whether to participate. Do you want to participate? This is so ridiculous. They say we are looking for a goal, but at the end of the day, we are just where we are. Step. Sakakihara smiled lightly, and his plain words revealed inexplicable confidence and determination. He stopped, and Julie Yulai also stopped. And we should not be the emperor's new clothes, but should have the courage to face the true self. Instead of letting ourselves live in the emperor's new clothes whitewashed by lies and false excuses, it is better to face our naked selves. What? You don't have any yourself? Then take the first step towards the unknown bravely, even if you may be laughed at, even if you don't even know whether you love this path. On the bridge with air conditioning and neon lights in December, with colorful billboards reflected behind him, Raku Sakakihara stretched out his hand towards the girl. So, Julie Yulai, in order to stop ourselves from being confused and to find what we want, let's try to borrow this band, a thing that we don't even know whether we love, and work hard towards the Tokyo Budokan. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 239. Study, Review, Study, Review. Suzu Sakakihara straightened her back and stared at the piles of homework and textbooks as thick as a dictionary that her brother and teacher had assigned her with a very reluctant expression. She was in a daze that was about to despair. Why do you have to write so much? And there is also yesterday's homework in it. The girl's heart was roaring, but because she was in the classroom, she had to maintain the expression on her face. "Calm down, Aling, you need to calm down." She kept repeating this hint to herself in her mind. But in the end, she found that it was of no use. Why write so much? Isn't it okay not to write? Is it a failure if you don't write about your life? I really want to be lazy, I really want to go home and take a nap, I really want to eat beef curry rice. Sakakihara Suzu fell into a state of extreme despair. Otherwise, give up? I don't know how comfortable it would be to give up. Suzuki-chan, you worked really hard. Accompanied by the soft voice was his friend Sakai Chiteno, who was sitting next to him and had just gone to the toilet. She saw the homework spread out in front of Suzu Sakakibara and the gel pen in her hand, and sighed deeply for her good friend's efforts. No, no. This. Well, in order to maintain my image, it seems I have no choice but to continue writing. It's obviously lunch break time, okay. About 10 minutes later, Sakakihara Suzu finished writing a paper and was going to rest for a while. As soon as he turned his head, a piece of small sausage went directly into his mouth. Sakakihara Suzu was stunned, and turned around to see that it was Sakai Chitano, who was smiling and feeding herself the contents of her lunch box. "How does it taste, Suzu-chan?" "Very, very good." "Hee, right? My mother's craftsmanship has always been very good." Kishano Sakai moved the stool to Sakakihara Suzu's table, and brought the lunch box and wrapping cloth together. "We will divide it next year. It's time for class, Suzu-chan. Are you going to choose science or liberal arts?" "I'm not good at liberal arts and science." Sakakibara Suzu suddenly noticed that Sakai Chiteno was staring at her for several seconds. She felt strange and asked, "Why is Suitano-chan looking at me like that? Do you want to be assigned to class 1, Suzu-chan?" "That's right." Sakai Chiteno continued, "But Suzu-chan has been very busy recently. She doesn't even have time to study her homework, and her grades have dropped to around 50. This is a fact." Sakakihara Suzu was almost at this level in the last monthly test. This was the result of her brother helping her to make up classes urgently. With these grades, it would be difficult for Suzu-chan to be placed in the first class, right? It's very likely that she would be assigned to an art class or something like that. This is also true. But Sakakihara Suzuhin was so tired that she no longer wanted to study. Kishano Sakai continued, "I have heard a lot about Sakakibara-kun at school recently." "What's wrong with him?" Sakakihara Suzu asked with concern. She only heard a little bit. "Everyone is speculating whether Sakakibara-kun is dating Amami-san, and whether he is also dating the new guy. The two of them can often be seen sitting together in the cafeteria eating together." Sakakihara Suzu knew that her elder brother had a good reputation in school. He has a handsome face and a very good figure. Every time he plays sports, he can be seen beating the boys in other classes by himself. In basketball, volleyball, baseball, etc., he is also at the top level. Many girls admire him. It's all external. Tisk, a bunch of superficial women. Well, there's no need to listen to their nonsense, Tiano. Yuki and my brother are just ordinary friends, Suzu Sakakihara replied with a normal expression. Suzuki-chan doesn't seem to understand what I mean at all. Kishin Sakai was thinking in her heart. As for Suzu-chan, her good friend, she hasn't been very happy recently, and Sakai Chiteno can definitely see it. "Why are you unhappy?" During this period, Sakai Chiteno asked insinuatingly several times, but to no avail. But through Suzu-chan's eyes at school, where she often saw her brother smiling and communicating with his classmate Amami Kuriyuri from a distance, Sakai Chitano understood. Suzu-chan has been ignored recently. Sakakibara-kun paid too much attention to his two Amami classmates. He didn't even notice that his sister was no longer as energetic as before. Because he wasn't paid attention to by his brother, he always had no energy. As a good friend, I have to think of a way. So that's how it is, Kateno Sakai smiled, holding her hands in front of her. Suzuki-chan, how about, anyway, our work has become less recently, how about we try to work hard together? Work hard towards the second place. In this school year, the class with the best grades will go forward. Sakakihara Suzu didn't respond. Why? Because, Suzu-chan, you see, the two Tenkai classmates have always been first in the exam, and Sakakibara-kun has always been in third place. They are only a few points behind the two Tenkai classmates. They must be assigned. I went to class 1. What are you going to do in class 1? Suzuki-chan must be going to class 1, right? I don't want to go. Sakakihara Suzu muttered this, relaxed her shoulders, and sighed deeply. If you go there, you can only be a light bulb. It's better to buy something to eat and sit together with Zhigzu after school. Sakakihara-san, someone called you. An unfamiliar classmate interrupted the conversation between the two. Sakakihara Suzu looked towards the door and found Amami Yuki with long straight black hair standing at the door. What is she here to do? Are you asking me for food again? Sakakihara Suzu still has a good relationship with Zayuki. As good friends, they often go out to buy food together. After temporarily talking to Tiano, Sakakibara Suzu walked out of the classroom and saw the plain and delicate little face of Amami Nazuki. What's wrong? I have something to tell Ling. Huh? What's the matter? Join the band. Sakakihara Suzu wasn't sure if she heard correctly. Join what? Join a band. What band? Rock band. Amami no Yuki played rock and roll at home every day. During that time, she even made such a noise that the police came. Of course, Sakakihara Suzu knew that Amami no Yuki liked rock music. But why did you suddenly find me and ask me to join a rock band? Because I can't find anyone. Ling is easy to talk to. The reason is really simple and easy to understand. Join the band. Well, no problem, but I don't have time recently. The finals are coming soon, so I have to study hard. Ling can put her name on it first. That's no problem. Suzu Sakakihara nodded. Of course it's no problem to help a good friend. You know, Zayuki will give her her favorite things to eat. Wait, Sakakihara Suzu suddenly realized something again. Zayukizu is saying that my brother told you that you can put your name on it first. He's in the band too. Happy. Where are Julie Yulai and Kaimingyu? Xiaoqi and Xiaoju will also be here. Then I won't join. Sakakihara Suzu suddenly became depressed, but recovered quickly. Why? Zhigzu, you don't understand. Anyway, if the three of them are together, I won't join them, because I have nothing to do with them. New. As soon as Tianhai's Zhigzu finished speaking, she turned around and left without emotion. The back is getting further and further away at the other end of the corridor. This made Sakakihara Suzu, who didn't react, quite confused. Just leave like this. Sakakihara Suzu stood there for a minute without understanding. She really didn't want to understand and had to go back to the classroom. I explained the situation to Chitano Sakai and chatted about second grade topics for half an hour, and it was time for class. On why he didn't agree to Zhigzu joining the band. Sakakihara Suzu knew that she just didn't want to see the intimacy that those few people might show in the band. Don't want to see it, not at all. I won't join in. It was time for school to end in the afternoon. Because there were 2 more classes, the time was much later than before. Ling, join the band. After Sakakibara Suzu said hello to her classmates, she met Amami Yuki in the shoe-changing room. She didn't want to target this good friend, but she felt she should refuse. No. Well, I'll ask you later. Tianhai's Zhigzu, who was carrying a small school bag, nodded slightly, then let's go to the convenience store to buy something to eat. Why don't you ask if you can eat something later? This is good. After walking out of school and going to a convenience store to buy sweet chicken steak and teriyaki skewers, Sakakihara Suzu thought that Amami Yuki would continue to ask whether she wanted to join the band, but she didn't expect that she would just eat quietly at the bar table. The side facing the street. My brother asked you to create this band. I created it myself. Why do you suddenly want to start a band? Because I want more fans. Oh Najiyuki, how's your video going? No fire. It makes sense, how can I become popular as soon as I come out? Suzu Sakakihara said with emotion. I used to think that as long as I had the ability, I would become popular, and everyone should be able to hear my efforts, but in fact, no one cares. I spent the first year playing small roles, and I had to prepare and be nervous for several days just to audition. But Ellie also wants to help me continue to make videos. Tianhai's Higsu continued the previous topic. Ellie wants to help me get more fans. Why is he helping you so much? Tianhai's Higsu thought for a while. I don't know. Forget it if I don't know. Anyway, it's a central air conditioner. That's the kind of person he is. Ellie also said that he wants to find his purpose through the band. Humph, that's really gratifying, but I won't join in. Suzu Sakakihara twisted both ends of the teriyaki chicken skewers with both hands and took small bites. Full of fragrant heat. Ellie also said that he likes Ling very much. Amami no Yuki's light words almost made Suzu Sakakibara choke, and she hurriedly asked. Did he really say that? The band, the bell is the most indispensable one. Amami Yuki imitated Sakakihara Raku's words at that time. Her voice was as thin as an ice sculpture. This sentence made Sakakihara Suzu feel strange and warm, and it also reminded her of many scenes. The clearest thing is when he went to find him when he ran away from home. He smiled and cooked himself a king crab dinner to entertain himself. Not only do you not have to wash the dishes, you can even fall asleep on his lap boldly when you are tired. That was the happiest dinner Sakakihara Suzu had had in recent years. But what about recently? I have been paying less and less attention to myself recently. He doesn't pay attention to himself at all now. Why would he want to get himself into some band? Exactly. Just, even if that's the case, why doesn't he come and invite me? I won't go. If you invite the bell, will the bell come? No way. Sorry, this is not directed at you, Yuki-chan, but I won't join. Sakakihara Suzu looked like she was getting up to leave. She packed the box of leftover food and picked up her school bag. Okay, that's the end of this topic. Anyway, I won't join, that's all. Suzu Sakakibara fled the convenience store. Even she herself didn't know why she ran away in panic. Looking at the darkened sky above, the tram made the sound of running on the elevated track, and the glass curtain walls of the high-rise buildings were filled with bright lights like glass. Suzu Sakakihara carried her small school bag in despair, pulling on the shoulder of the school bag as she walked through the large shopping street filled with cold air. My mind is filled with memories of a certain stinky guy. Aling, actually I like Julie Yulai. Aling, Chi Minjio seems to like me too. Aling, actually I don't like Tokyo that much. If possible, I would go to Kyoto to study in college. The words that sounded like memories made Sakakihara Suzu purse her lips. She was so annoyed. It was obvious that he only cared about herself before. But now, I wasn't cared for at all. Why do you have to be so nice to everyone? Why did you still forgive Julie Yulai at that time? Why have you never considered anything because of me? Thinking it's because I stayed in Tokyo to study? Am I that unimportant? Why can't you see through my mind? All kinds of uncomfortable thoughts fermented in the cold wind. Sakakihara Suzu walked into the residential area, entered a nearby children's park, and sat down on the swing between the sand pit and slide covered with snowflakes. There was no point in sitting here like this, but only here, the cold corner without light, made her feel more comfortable. Sakaki Harasuzu remembered a certain guy's reaction to her. Maybe his thoughts have been seen through long ago. He understands, and so does he. But it was precisely because of his understanding and clarity that he did not express other thoughts to himself. He always took care of her, caring with a doting meaning. He has been indulging his unreasonable behavior and his character. Suzu Sakaki Haro laughed humorously, it's better not to know. As soon as she finished reading the sentence, Sakaki Harasuzu fell into a state of silence again. She began to swing the swing and let her body follow the swing. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The cold friction sound of the chain was the only sound in the cold wind. What should I do? How? Yes, how can I not feel uncomfortable? Thoughts popped up in Sakaki Harasuzu's head, but the more she thought about it, the less she knew what to do. How about disappearing suddenly? If he disappears, it won't have a big impact on him, right? Is he coming back to find himself? How long will it take? He probably doesn't care about his own existence at all. The creaking stopped, the girl's hand holding the chain disappeared, and the figure on the swing raised its head to the sky. The girl's purple eyes, which reflected thousands of neon lights, shone with crystal light. After 5 minutes of silence, Sakaki Harasuzu sniffed, stretched out her hand to erase all the things that blurred her vision, and then smiled at the sky. Really, am I going to cry like this? I'm not crying, no. After shouting this, no one answered her. No one responded to her. Stinky Lele. The cold wind made people's cheeks chill and their bodies tremble. Sitting on the swing in the children's park, she seemed to want someone to come out to find her, tell herself that I care about you, tell herself not to catch a cold, and tell herself to go home quickly. Sakaki Harasuzu was very sad, but she didn't know why, but there was always a force in her heart that made her not want to be so sad. I want to change, at least, I don't want to not be remembered. That guy Chi Minjio said he liked that guy since he was a child. I'm afraid he would have had the same mentality as me, right? In front of Julie Yulai. The more Sakaki Harasuzu thought about it, the more she thought about it. How did Nanamijiu do it? How did she treat Julie Yulai? If she chooses to escape, there will be nothing left. Bell. After 10 minutes of silence, Suzu Sakaki Hara raised her head and found that it was Amami Nazuki who had found this place. She was also carrying a small school bag, staring at herself like a blank piece of paper. Sakaki Harasuzu stood up when she saw her. Sorry for keeping you looking for me. Why did Ling run away just now? I'm angry. The guy called Julie Yulai and Chi Minjiu but didn't come to call me. But thinking about it carefully, he probably didn't think about it in this regard. I don't want to be the kind of ghost who only complains. I can take whatever I want. No matter what happens, you must keep your position. What are you talking about? What I mean is that I will change my policy in the future. If I am passive, I will only get beaten and won't get anything good. The two of them keep bullying me, and I've had enough. In fact, I wrote it in the evening. But, because I didn't feel very good, I stayed up late and wrote 6,000 words. Looking back, the results were not as good as before. Depressed. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 240. As the end of the semester approaches, all the students in the school are worried about the final exams. But with the results of Tianhai Kaimingyu, there is no need to think about it at all. In her world, except for her sister who occasionally surpasses her, no one else can surpass her. She had been wondering about something else for the past few days. That is, why didn't my brother invite me to join the band? This made Tian Haikaimingu think about it for a long time. It stands to reason that the brother's top priority is to resolve the completely discordant relationship between himself and his sister. If he formed a band, he would inevitably involve himself in it. She could understand that, but there was no reason for her to reconcile with her sister. As long as Sakakihara Raku invites him, he will definitely refuse. She had the ending figured out. If he coaxes you to feel comfortable, then go in, if you feel uncomfortable, then don't go in. But now, don't talk about joining the band. I didn't even see anyone after school every day. What is this? Forget it, hang him for a few more days. Tian Haikaimingu is very patient. Since you don't come to me, I won't pay attention to you. Just live your daily life how you want to. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. This is how things should have happened. Tian Haikaimingu can hardly sit down in the literature department. That guy still doesn't show up. I wonder if the final exam will be in 3 days? Why haven't you come to yourself yet? She put the book in her hand on the table. I closed the door of the literature department in a rather unhappy mood. Walking down the club building with light steps, Tian Haikaimingu began to pace around the campus. Playground, no. Class 4 classroom, no. Gym, no. Not even the archery club on my sister's side was seen. There was no reply on the phone. Tian Haikaimingu stood outside the archery dojo and withdrew his gaze. She couldn't help but think, where did this guy go? Tian Haikaimingu was walking in school. There were some snowflakes today, and the bushes in the flower bed were covered with a thin layer of crystals. Her figure skipped the corridor of the teaching building. Many students along the way chose to avoid her after seeing her wearing gold-rimmed glasses. Tian Haikaimingu noticed the way those classmates looked at her. There are likes, there are fears, and there are also concessions that I dare not face. She was not surprised by this. Arriving at the library, Xiaolin Zio, who was on duty today, sat at the oak reception desk reviewing her homework, tapping the end of her pen on her cheek, and thinking hard. Senior. Is the minister here to borrow books? Xiaolin Zio raised her head and saw the upright Tian Haikaimingu. No, I'm looking for someone. Looking for someone? Ah, is it Sakakihara-san? He is here, Tian Haikaimingu asked. Well, Sakakibara-san came to the library right after school. He even said hello to me when he came in. If the minister wants to find him, he can be found on the first floor. After learning that Sakakibara was in the library, Nanami glanced at the simple pendulum clock on the wall and began to look for a certain guy in various areas. I saw him in the reference book area labeled D. Raku Sakakihara stood in front of the bookshelf, glanced at the spines of the books arranged according to the 50 tones, reached out and picked out a book on the 6th floor to read. He casually twitched his hand and tried to turn a page, and found a girl with flaxen hair standing on the other side looking at him. She stood under the fan-shaped glass window, and the light coming in from outside was a bit dazzling. Sakakihara smiled at her stern face. Good afternoon. Tian Haikaimingu didn't look good. What are you doing here? Sakakibara closed the book, with the cover facing her, which read Rock Chronicle. Tian Haikaimingu followed his movements and looked at the cover of the book. Sakakihara smiled slightly and said, as you can see, I am seeking knowledge. There are only 3 days until the end of the semester. Don't you plan to review? I have already reviewed what I should review, and now I will go home to take care of Suzu's homework. Raku Sakakihara opened Rock Chronicle and answered casually, Nana Mingzuki, why did you come to me? What do I want from you? You don't know it yourself? It's nothing, I'm just curious, brother, what have you been doing these days? Except at night, you can hardly see your shadow. Preparing for the exam, helping Suzu prepare for the exam, occasionally running for exercise, and helpings Higsyu's video clips. It's very ordinary. Raku Sakakihara continued to flip through the book, with a smile on his lips. He waited for 3 days. Chi Minjia might as well have taken the bait. Tian Haikimingyu could see from his expression that this guy was deliberately trying to appease her. Forget it, she would just show off her cards. It's been 3 days. What 3 days? Tian Haikimingyu said dissatisfiedly, you formed a band, why didn't you call me? Sakakibara wanted to laugh, but he held back. I want to ask Chi Minjia what you think first. I have the right to refuse to answer. Sakakibara squeezed the book with one hand, closed the book, and said with a smile to Amami Nanamajetsu, who had his arms crossed, then I also have the right to refuse to answer. Tian Haikimingyu didn't care, and her expression didn't change at all. If you still want to continue the previous bickering, I'm happy to accompany you. I don't want to argue with you. Then what do you want to do? Raku Sakakibara thought it was time to throw out the invitation to her. How about joining our band? Would you have said it earlier? Tian Haikimingyu asked calmly. Then will you join? Not joining. That's it? Sakakihara Raku felt that he was the most speechless one. I already know the result anyway, why did I bother asking you 3 days ago? Tian Haikimingyu said again, can you know the answer without asking? I know, I completely know. Sakakihara shook the book in his hand, just put the facts in front of me. Then what are you going to do? Do nothing. Sakakibara smiled brighter at her. Tian Haikimingyu was still faceless. Are you going to use this to force me to compromise? That's wrong, Chi Minjia, I'm not forcing you, I just don't want to do useless work. Don't you try to persuade me. I've thought about it, but I think it has little effect. Sakakihara laughed again and shook the book in his hand. It's not as good as what I'm doing now. If you want to join Chi Minjia, I welcome it, but you expect me to ask for help. There is no way. The corners of Tian Haikiminyu's eyes raised, and her beautiful little face was full of confidence. Last time you said you would never like me, what was the result? This time is different. Sakakihara showed no intention of compromise. She actually knew in her heart that when she couldn't help herself, she came out to look for him. This battle without sound or start time was already lost. Tian Haikiminyu's eyes under the gold-rimmed glasses were closed and then opened again. It seems that brother has become smarter recently and understands that it is better to compromise and play hard to get. Thank you for the compliment. Sakakibara gave her the gentlemanly courtesy he learned from her. Okay, I can agree to join your band. It must be conditional, right? Sakakibara knew without guessing, because Chi Minjia never let herself suffer. No. I have to say it first, I will not agree to your conditions unless. Sakakibara took a while to come back to his senses and said in surprise, wait, you don't have any additional conditions you need? No. True and false. No means no. Sakakibara couldn't imagine that Nanami Kimingyu would actually agree to him like this. You know she is the most stingy kind of person. You know, even Julie Yulai gave her a lot of reasons before she agreed to join. Why? Don't you understand? The two looked at each other. Eyes meet. Everyone has their own reasons for joining the band. Sakakihara Raku knows because he himself is like this. Nanami Minjia didn't tell her reasons, but because of the look she gave her just now, Sakakibara already understood the reason why she agreed to join the band. Tisk, not candid at all. Amami Nanami took the lead to retract her gaze, turned her head in the opposite direction, and hugged her elbow with one hand, leaving only her beautiful side face facing Sakakibara Raku. Actually, I didn't intend to embarrass you too much from the beginning. If you come for 2 more days, I will take advantage of the situation. Agree, all I need is an attitude. Sakakibara approached her, bent down, and stretched out his hand. Wait a minute, what are you doing? Tian Haikimingyu turned back an eye. Sakakibara picked her up. Rise. Et. You dash. With her feet off the ground, all her body weight fell towards him. The girl panicked for a moment and could only use her hands to support his shoulders. Because the center of gravity was on him, Tianhai Chi Minjiao's belly quickly rested on his shoulder, and her upper body reached behind his shoulder. I just thought the way you looked at me was so cute, and I suddenly wanted to hug you. Sakakibara covered her calf wearing black stockings with his left hand. Do you call this a hug? You call this a resistance? This strange posture made Tianhai Kaimingyu's cheeks turn a bright red. Really? I heard that shoulder-to-shoulder resistance to your girlfriend will make you have special boyfriend power. Where did you hear this nonsense? Tianhai Kaimingyu only felt ashamed. She had never been held up by someone on her shoulders before. Okay, let me down quickly. No, I feel like you're quite light. Do you want us to go for a walk? Aren't you afraid of being discovered by your sister? Okay, let me down quickly. This is the library. If others see you, you will be laughed at. Then how about another princess hug? I know Chi-Chi likes this action. Who likes your princess hug? Would you like a kiss? My mind is full of these things. Asterisk. Forming a band is no empty talk. From the large oil pen characters on the calendar on the wall of Sakakibara Raku's bedroom. That being said, why can a band be called a band? This is where construction is urgently needed. The next day. On the day before the final exam, after the family review time in the afternoon, Raku Sakakihara glanced at the girls in front of him one by one who had finally managed to get together. Amamai Kururi, who is packing up her study supplies, Amamai Yuki, who is eating bread, Sakakibara Suzu, who is as limp as a slug after reviewing, and Amamai Nanamajetsu, who continues to flip through the books. The warm air from the air conditioner in the living room is blowing, and the 100-inch large TV is broadcasting variety shows. In fact, if you observe carefully, you will find that the two girls who look exactly the same are sitting in different seats, and they did not say anything during the study time. This is the current gap between the two. With this in mind, Sakakihara Raku knelt down directly above him, facing several people, put his fist to his mouth, and announced. Homework time is over. Now, let's formally discuss things about our band. Sakakihara took out a dice with his backhand and placed it in the center of the table. In order to encourage everyone to speak actively, whoever rolls the dice will speak. Why bother? Sakakihara Suzu pouted and complained. Well, okay, the number is 2, Aling, you have the floor. What? Sakakihara Suzu shook her head, and before she could react, why is it my turn to speak? Sakakihara pointed at the dice with 2 points on the face. Anyway, it's you, the name of the band, you start it. Name it? No, I'm super awesome, okay. Quick, get one up. Sakakibara Suzu touched her chin and had a flash of inspiration. Sakakibara Suzu band. The next second, there was a fist on her head. Hey, what are you doing? Sakakibara drilled her head hard and said with his eyes closed in a sullen tone, be more serious. Sakakihara Suzu slapped the fist on her head away and thought for a moment. The band was founded by Yuyuki-chan, so why not just call it the Fried Ice Cream Band? Sakakihara Suzu glanced around happily, but all she saw was silence. She muttered dissatisfiedly. How nice is this? How cute is the ice cream? Sakakihara crossed his legs and put his hands on his knees to remind, Suzu, which rock band have you ever seen calling fried ice cream? Look, no one supports you at all. This name is okay. Tianhai's Higsu spoke slowly. Haha, look, brother. Higsu agrees. So, vote. Please raise your hands if you think my name is good. Suzu Sakakihara acted according to the opportunity and directly raised her arm to indicate voting in the most democratic way. But obviously, apart from the two of them, the others were silent. What? Sakakihara Suzu was immediately discouraged. Not everyone is as good-mouthed as you two. Let's consider this name as an alternative, Sakakihara commented and continued to throw the dice. This time it was 5, Tianhaijuli Yulai spoke. Let's give it a name. She thought about it first. It seems that a rock band can be named anything. When choosing a name, we still have to ensure a certain style. What is the style of our band? Everyone shook their heads. Obviously, how can a band that doesn't even have a name have a style? In this case, we can only judge based on identity or age. A little bit youthful, Sea of Summer, Tianhaijuli Yulai spoke a very pure British style English. Summer Sea? Well, it's pretty good, just a spare. At 4 o'clock, Tianhai Kaimingyu spoke. Blue Shark. Tianhai Kaimingyu also has a British accent. Blue Shark Band, Sakakihara looked at her. Tianhai Kaimingyu put on a don't understand attitude, since it is rock and roll, there is nothing wrong with the Shark Band. Sakakibara Suzu jumped in directly, waved her hands and said, let me see, why not call them the Rabbit Band? If it's rock music, the cyberpunk rabbits are also super cool, okay. Let me see. Sakakibara Raku said, the Kururi one is more flavorful. Summer Sea sounds quite youthful. Blue Shark's words may sound plain at first, but if you think about it carefully, plain is good, and it can be used. Raku Sakakibara asked Amaminewa Yuki, does Yuki have anything to say? No. What about a name? Won't. Dot. Fine. Brother, you want one too? Don't just let us talk. Let me think. Sakakibara frowned and thought for a while, and he suddenly discovered that the Blue Shark Band of Amami 7 Moons was actually the simplest, most unpretentious, and most suitable rock band. But it doesn't seem quite right. Sakakihara held his chin, lowered his head and pondered for 3 minutes. Run to. Tianhaijuli Yulai and Tianhai Kaimingyu both looked over. Run to? What does this mean? Sakakihara Suzu asked. Sakakihara explained, actually, there is an abbreviation here. In fact, the whole name should be Run to You. If translated, it can be called Run to You, which can be understood as starting towards you. As a band name, it has a lot of feeling, music that's coming to you, a band that's coming to you. How about this? Dot. Everyone is thinking. Sakakibara took the opportunity to add a few words to promote his thoughts. I know that everyone sitting here has different thoughts on agreeing to join this band, but there is no doubt that we will find something here that has not been seen before. Things, we will try to take steps forward and run towards everyone's hearts, so the name Run to is very good. Tianhaijuli Yulai nodded, and Tianhai Kaimingyu reluctantly agreed. Sakakihara Suzu felt that what her brother explained was indeed a little more meaningful than her own fried ice cream, so she nodded in agreement. As for Tianhai's Higsu, there is no time when she disagrees. After gathering the opinions of the 5 people, Sakakibara cleared his throat and said seriously. Well, our band is called Runto, or Running Band for short. Applause, applause. Oh. Sakakihara Suzu clapped her hands vigorously in support. The name of the band was solemnly announced, and then came the responsibilities of the 5 people in the band. Tianhaijuli Yulai is, without a doubt, the keyboardist. Although it would be too different for a beautiful classical piano girl to be a rock keyboardist, this is indeed the instrument she can master the fastest. Tianhai's Higsu, guitarist. As a rock guitarist who has been living at home for nearly 10 years, even though she only has more than 60 fans on the internet, she is still the best choice to be the guitarist of this band. The difficulty lies below. The band now has 3 required positions remaining: bass, drums, vocals. There is definitely no problem with Aling being the lead singer. She practices her voice every day and has the most experience. Raku Sakakihara wanted to be a bassist because he had third-rate guitar experience and wouldn't have to learn it from scratch. The problem is, Chi Minjio only plays the violin. It's not like a rock band can't have a violin, there's nothing wrong with that. But if this happens, there will be no one left on the drum set. I'll come, I'll come, I'll come, Suzu Sakakihara raised her hands quite actively. If you become the drummer, what will you do as the lead singer? Sakakihara couldn't help but ask. Humph, of course it's the angel who plays two roles, knocking and singing. No. Sakakihara thought for a moment and shook his head. Regardless of the fact that Aling doesn't know how to play the drum, playing and singing at the same time is really exhausting. Tian Haikimingyu interjected, I don't deny the possibility of a drummer being the lead singer, but as long as you know a little bit about music, you will understand how difficult it is to achieve a stable rhythm, interference in interpretation, and to drive the atmosphere of the scene at the same time. On the premise of having the qualities of a lead singer and a drummer. That's it, what do you think we should do? A rock band can't be without a drum set, right? There really is no good solution for everyone, and they all have their own identities. Sakakihara Raku said, how about letting me come? Nanami Mingzuki can go to bass. Tian Haikimingyu pondered for a moment, then let go of his hand, forget it, I'll do it. Nanamajetsu, do you know how to play drums? Raku Sakakibara couldn't help but ask, because the confidence in Amami Nanamajetsu's tone could not be concealed at all. No, but you can learn it. The most important thing for a drum set is rhythm, and I have been practicing this for countless years. Even if it is not exactly the same, the foundation is still there. Then it's confirmed, Chi Minjio, you are the drummer. Well, it's not impossible to give up the drums and switch to the violin occasionally. Okay, then it's decided. I announce that the Runto band is officially established today. Vocalist, Aling. Guitarist, Ji Shui. Keyboard player Julie Yulai. Drum or violin, Kaimingyu. Bass, Ale. The goal is to head towards the Tokyo Budokan. Become a famous young band. At night, Sakakihara stared at the note posted on his wall, knowing that there was a long way to go in the days to come. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 241. What system was formed when Diocletian reformed the Roman Empire? 4 emperors ruled together. In what year did the War of the Roses break out? 1455. The snow started to fall again, and the evergreen trees on campus were covered with a layer of snow. The simple pendulum clock of Ming's school reminded students in the examination room to get out of the classroom. Wearing a scarf, Sakakihara took a breath of hot air and rubbed his palms. He and the girl beside him looked at the white light in the air outside the teaching building. The coldness of the air is a reminder of the passage of time. You will still lose to me in this exam. Nanami glanced at Raku Sakakibara aside with an absolutely determined look. Raku Sakakibara was eating breakfast bread. Miss Amami is still so aggressive. But I want to ask, how can you see it? Since you came out of the examination room and asked me for answers, isn't this a sign of lack of confidence? Really? Raku Sakakihara bit the bread into his mouth, his voice slightly changed. Is it possible that I'm taking care of you to make sure you made a mistake in writing? Nanami glanced at Sakakibara Raku's side face. I suddenly had an illusion about you. Do you think I've suddenly become smarter? Raku Sakakihara said with a slight smile, because the light gray scarf around his neck and the snowy sky reflected behind him made his smile look warm. I feel like my brain is clear now. It's quite transparent. Tian Haikimingyu looked away when he saw his smile, and said proudly, oh, smart people don't say how smart they are. Yeah, Raku Sakakihara ate the last bite of bread, put the plastic bag in his trouser pocket, and clapped his hands. Then what happened when someone claimed to be smart in the past? Of course I'm the only exception. Haha, the second lady is really narcissistic. Sakakihara laughed again. This is not called narcissism, this is called having a clear self-understanding. You can ask any passerby in the school, who doesn't think so. Although Xiaoqiu's self-proclaimed and confident look is very unmanageable. But sadly, this is what it is. Not only is she smart and beautiful, she also has power and money. The second young lady has an unknown number of companies under her control, and all those social workers, graduates of Dongda University, Beijing University, and international students, all have to listen to her orders. Beautiful, elegant, confident, and full of culture and strength. Most people are really beyond the reach of the 7 bright moons in the sky and sea. No wonder the boys in school didn't dare to talk to her, for fear of being struck by her brilliance and being reduced to nothing by her family. Even if it is true. But if you are narcissistic to this extent, I suggest Miss Kyo that you should go to your own hospital for a checkup. There is a disease called narcissistic personality disorder. The most important thing about narcissistic personality disorder is the lack of basic empathy for the people around you. I know this better than you do. Really? You can't deny that you may develop in this direction in July, right? I remember that someone was very narcissistic some time ago, wasn't he? He always said that he was confident. I will never be like that again. Nanamajetsu, Raku Sakakihara changed his tone and looked into the distance. I now have a clear goal. Referring to the band. That's right. Tian Haikaiminyu frowned and pondered for a moment. This guy is not serious about coming, right? Isn't this band just a tool for you to use to resolve conflicts between my sister and me? Obviously not. No. Tian Haikaiminyu recalled the music theory knowledge that he had been reviewing in the past few days, and worked very hard. What exactly do you want to do? It's very simple, take the Tokyo Budokan as the goal and lead the band forward. However, before this, I didn't see what you liked about the band. Let me ask another way, what can you get from it? Self. What he said was so mysterious that Tian Haikaiminyu originally wanted to ask more questions, but the exam break ended with the ringing of the bell. Let's go back to the classroom and continue the exam. This time it's English. Sakakibara put his hands in his pockets, turned around and walked back to the exam room. You sound confident. Tian Haichi Minjio followed him and crowded at the door with a group of classmates. Absolutely full marks. Sakakihara smiled and looked ahead. What a strange feeling. Tian Haikaiminyu followed him and a group of classmates back to the examination room and classroom. A few minutes later, the invigilator arrived, distributed test papers, and was allowed to answer questions when the bell rang. Nanamai glanced at the English paper, which was as simple as her mother tongue. While writing, she focused on the meticulous Sakakibara Raku behind her. The girl sensed it. Brother, some subtle changes seem to have occurred recently. This is a feeling she has personally experienced in recent days. He seems to talk less, seems to be more practical, and has a more precise control over his emotions and understanding of his words. Not only did he learn to be smart last time to whet his appetite, but his emotional intelligence has also improved a lot in the past few days. Not only had I followed him and agreed to a band that I absolutely didn't want to join, but now he could tell me that he was in a good mood in just a few sentences. I would feel that it would be good to just obey him like this. Occasional contact is also within acceptable limits, without excessive harassment. What happened to this guy suddenly? Is it true that his emotional intelligence has become higher as he said? In order to find out this secret, after the geography, chemistry, and mathematics exams were completed in the afternoon, the 7 bright moons in the sky began to follow. After school, Sakakihara put on her shoulder bag and went to the library. He seemed to have borrowed a reference book on music theory. Tian Haikaiminyu, who was following behind, could not see clearly. Then, he walked directly outside the school and walked into the milk tea shop not far below the ramp. After waiting for 6 minutes, he walked out carrying a large bag, looking in the direction as if he was going back to school. Running out just to buy milk tea, the 7 bright moons in the sky hid behind the bare ginkgo tree trunks and continued to follow. He came to the Kyoto Club and found Tianhai Julie who was completing the final cleaning task, and handed the hot milk tea he just bought to Julie. Tianhai Julie just said thank you politely, because there were still members present. When Tianhai Kaimingyu saw this scene, her expression was indifferent, and her eyes were always on Julie who was smiling reservedly. She looks quiet and polite on the surface, but actually she wants to rush up to him and give him a hug, and then act coquettishly in his arms, right? A cup of hot milk from my boyfriend in winter. It tastes really warm. Tianhai Kaimingyu briefly looked away. After delivering the milk tea, Sakakibara Raku left the Kyoto Club. And 5 minutes later, Suzu Sakakihara and Yuki Amamai were found in the teaching building. Milk tea is also delivered. Sakakihara Suzu was surprised that he actually ran out to buy milk tea for herself, and asked him why with a pout. The guy Sakakibara Raku didn't know what he said. He said it in a few words and made Sister Chan nod his head repeatedly. Sister Chan was still very happy and hammered his chest. Tianhai's Higsu just drank and showed nothing. After delivering milk tea to his sister and Amamai Nazuki, Raku Sakakibara walked downstairs with the bag in hand. In less than a minute, Tianhai Kaimingyu's line received the news. Are you in the literature club? If so, I'll come find you. Did you think of me last? Tianhai Kaimingyu's eyes were half closed, her eyes filled with resentment. Okay, she didn't want to care whether this guy had changed recently. It would be better for her to go home early today. Tianhai Chi Minjiu gathered her emotions, prepared to go back to the classroom, pack her things, and go home directly. But just when she was about to leave, July. The sound that suddenly came out of my ears, even if it was Kaimingyu in the sky, my heartbeat suddenly stopped for a second. The girl looked back and saw that this guy Sakakihara Raku had come around behind her at some point. What are you doing here? Sending you milk tea. Tianhai Kaimingyu glanced at the bag, no. Instead, Sakakihara smiled and said, Kyo, were you following me just now? So what? Why are you suddenly following me? You don't have to worry about that. Well, since you don't want to talk, I won't ask any more questions. Just hold the milk tea. It's cold today. After they finish their work, we'll go out and buy some musical instruments. Only then did Tianhai Chi Minjiu understand his purpose of buying milk tea. Is this why you ran out? Otherwise, they have something to do at school today. I'm bored waiting for them. It's understandable to go out and buy a cup of milk tea for them. It has no purpose. Who knew you were following me for no reason? Obviously he just went out to buy a few cups of milk tea and care about his family, but Chi Minjiu's following made it seem like he had done something terrible. Besides, I definitely have no intention of targeting you in Kyoto. It's just that when I came in from the school gate, the distance from near to far was the Kyoto Club, the teaching building, and finally the club building. Tianhai Kaimingyu blinked. I didn't take the initiative to ask you this question. I know. What? The emotional intelligence is really high. Right. What have you done? He didn't want to say he was cheating. Of course, emotional intelligence cannot be cheated. Nothing. Raku Sakakibara directly handed the chocolate milk tea in his hand to Nanamai. Nanamai, I know you like less sugar, so I asked the clerk to put less sugar. He hesitated for a while. You explained it quite clearly. Tianhai Kaimingyu took it and turned his face away. Sakakibara looked at the way she was avoiding him to drink milk tea. Did Nana Minjiu think I was a little different just now and followed me? Tianhai Kaimingyu slowly drank the steaming milk tea and turned her head. You yourself know. Certainly. Tell me the reason Tian Hai Kaimingyu ordered directly with her eyes. The main reason is that I have a clear goal in mind and know that I must lead you forward. By moving forward, do you mean the band? Otherwise, Raku Sakakihara smiled indifferently. I have the best grades in Tokyo, second only to the two of you. I am not short of money. In sports, I completely believe that no one in the school can beat me. For the rest, I only need to. If you follow a path to the end, you will naturally move forward. I don't deny your current spirit and goals. Although I have no intention of getting along well with my sister, what are you going to do about Grandpa? This goal is long-term. Tian Hai Kaimingyu's eyes have been locked on his face. You mean, you have already started to make plans, right? I dare not say that I have a plan. After all, it is the Tian Hai family. At least I have to wait until I go to college to start making progress, but before that, I think it is necessary for me to be able to shoulder the feelings of both of you at the same time. Tian Hai Kaimingyu understood his words, but dismissed his words. What if I never agree to share with my sister? There are no absolutes in this world, July. What if there is? I have the heart to take care of you, and I also have the heart to take care of Julie Yulai. This is an undisputed fact. In fact, no matter how high your emotional intelligence is, when you treat two girls who like you, your sincere guilt for them will make people wander back and forth between the two of them unconsciously. There is no room for freedom in being uncomfortable. Raku Sakakihara stood in the corridor and looked at the snow falling in the sky. Tian Hai Kaimingyu held hot milk tea in both hands and also took a look. The two stood side by side, a girl in a pleated skirt holding milk tea, and a young boy with his hands in his coat pockets. They looked at the city ridge covered in snow haze at the same time, and their backs seemed to be covered by the suddenly much heavier flying snow. The surroundings were filled with the noise of school time. In the silence, the 7 bright moons in the sky broke the silence. Brother? Huh? Are you planning to change your tune? Now that brother has his own goal, although it still seems unreliable to me, I think it's time to give you this piece of advice. Say it. Even if you want to be for me, for my sister, and for our emotions. But when my sister and I have a conflict, I hope that you, brother, can firmly choose yourself, and not accommodate either of us. What I like about you is not just how good you are to me. I also hope that you can move forward alone and lead me forward. Sakakibara's pupils began to shrink, and he turned to look at Nanamai in surprise. Even if that doesn't satisfy you in Kyo. If not. And this beautiful girl is standing in the corridor, under the snow, holding milk tea and wearing a light red scarf around her neck. At this moment, she showed him a bright smile for the first time. Asterisk. Like. If Sakakibara Suzu experienced dependent love for the first time, Amamai Kurayuri experienced the caring love. So, with Nanamai, Sakakihara Raku felt the love called inspiration for the first time. Opening your palms on the bed, your sight extended to the ceiling through the gaps between your fingers, and your sight became blurred. Sakakihara Raku had an inexplicable motivation to lead them forward. They are all excellent people, flowers of the high mountains that are so excellent that it is difficult for others to touch them. Can you do it yourself? Can you take them forward? Can you respond to their expectations and love? Questions like this naturally come to mind. Sakakibara retracted his palms and held his head. He now has and only one answer, he must do it. Sakakihara immediately sat up from the bed, went to the desk at the end of the bed, turned on the light, opened his notebook, and wrote down his current goals in eloquent fonts. Leading the band to grow allowed the conflict between Chi Minjiu and Julie Yulai to slowly resolve as the band grew, allowing Aling to build a better relationship with them and become closer. Correct. We can't forget Yuki's expectation of getting more fans. So, now, it's time to actually start working on the band. Come on. Sakakibara wrote the last words of encouragement to himself in smooth handwriting, quickly got up, and officially opened the door to a new day. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tou Lan. Chapter 242. 1 cup of matches strawberry, 4 cups of hot cocoa, thank you. The clerk was a little sluggish. What's wrong? Tianhai Julie Yulai asked. Hug, I'm sorry, I'm very sorry. I was distracted just now. The young boy behind the console was very shy, blushing and bowing his head to apologize again and again. Can the guest please tell me his needs again? 1 cup of matches strawberry, 4 cups of hot cocoa. The clerk touched the screen of the console a little stiffly, and kept blushing and lowering his head in front of Tianhai Julie Yulai. Confirm, 1 cup of matches strawberry, 4 cups of hot cocoa, right? Yes. Tomorrow is Christmas, and all drinks in our store are currently on sale at 30% off, so the total is 2,450 yen. Tianhai Julie Yulai took out a 10,000 yen note from the satchel on his waist and handed it to the clerk with his slender hand. The clerk took it with both hands, gave the change, and bowed his head to express his apology in the polite manner of the service industry. Okay, please wait here for a moment. Tianhai Julie Yulai waited in the store for about 10 minutes. During this period, while the clerk was preparing milk tea, she kept carefully observing her movements out of the corner of her eye, and she saw it. Guest, your milk tea has been waiting for a long time. Thanks. Tianhai Julie Yulai took it politely, passed by a new customer who had just entered the store with some snowflakes on his down jacket, and left the milk tea shop. The young clerk watched her leave at the counter. It wasn't until the long, smooth flaxen hair completely disappeared in the crowd that he withdrew his gaze with a hint of loneliness. What do you think? This is the last time, right? He murmured, and couldn't help but look at the place where the figure disappeared, but all he could see were passers-by walking outside the store. There are Christmas trees all over the streets, red decorations everywhere, discount billboards marked with eye-catching fonts, passers-by wearing red hats, and the Christmas song Jingle Bells, Jingle Bells, Jingle Bells. In the face of the upcoming Christmas, these elements have already fallen in the snow and filled the entire commercial street. It will snow tomorrow too, right? White Christmas. Well, I should be able to do that. Then, we agreed, you want to take me out to play. Where do you want to go? Amusement park. Go see the ice sculptures. Go ride the Ferris wheel. Go ride the carousel. Really, why are you still like a child, playing this every year? Humph, aren't you too? Are you cold or not? Do you want me to hold you? Yes, yes. The conversation between the lovers at the intersection before the intersection made Tianhai Julie Yulai, who was waiting at the traffic light, look up at the snow and feel a trace of longing for it. It's been almost a week since we formed the band to practice their instruments, right? It's been 2 days since the final exam. I wonder if he can take the initiative to invite me out tomorrow? Although they are clearly in a relationship, he seems to rarely invite her to go out with them. Of course I know that he has been busy learning guitar recently and laying a good foundation for bass. I am also very happy to learn rock-related knowledge with him. But what I wanted most was to be alone with him, to listen to him say nice things to me, to hold his arms and lean on his shoulders. If you suddenly want to kiss, it's not impossible to say a few words in your ear. I'll probably agree to it myself. Tianhai Julie Yulai crossed the intersection and walked on the street, blushing, thinking about these things in his mind, but his heart felt empty for some reason. She felt that her brother didn't like her as much as he did when he first confessed to her. Why? Probably because he has not completely forgiven himself yet, Tianhaijuli Yulai thought about it and could only blame himself for the mistake. But she was not entirely convinced by this answer, because judging from the interaction between him and her during this period, he did not have any sense of distance from her because of past events. Will pull myself into my arms for a hug. Tianhaijuli Yulai liked that feeling very much. Compared to Chi Minjiao's state of never being able to get close, I don't know how much better I am, right? Well, one shouldn't feel negative and decadent. Although he still has an absolute advantage against Chi Minjiao, in front of his twin sister, a twin sister whose face is exactly the same as his own, he still has to take the initiative and let his brother understand who is the one who wants to rely on and like him the most. Tianhaijuli Yulai encouraged herself in her heart, carrying the milk tea she bought, crossed the street and entered an office building. Asterisk. On the 6th floor, there is a warehouse-like room. Putting aside the soundproof walls decorated in black style, apart from a bunch of messy wires and a bunch of brackets that don't know what to put, there are only a series of musical instruments left. Tianhaikaimingu sat expressionlessly in front of the bass drum, snare drum, four-sided tom, hi-hat, and ride cymbal, which are a large number of instruments that make up the drum set, and used simple 8 beats to get familiar with this instrument. She is very focused and serious, and she is meticulous about learning this instrument. Raku Sakakibara is holding the guitar and is helping Suzu Sakakibara, who is also holding the guitar, correct how to play the F major chord so that it runs smoothly. Tianhai's Higsu sat quietly by the floor-to-ceiling window, eating bread and staring blankly into the distance where the world seemed to not exist. The door to the room opened. Sakaki Hararaku saw Amamai Kuruori coming in from the door. He smiled at her, put down his guitar, walked over and said a few words of care, took the milk tea she bought from her hand, and then distributed it to everyone one by one. Put it aside, Tianhaikaimingu seemed to be still familiar with the drum set. Oh, thank you. Although Sakakibara Suzu was very happy to drink milk tea, because it was bought by Amamai Kuruori, she was a little confused whether she should say thank you to her. Tianhai's Higsu said nothing. A band with no chemistry at all. After practicing for so long, Sakakibara, who is well aware of the interpersonal relationships in the band, can be said to be desolate. How is my brother's guitar practice going? Tianhaijuli Yulai asked. Sakakibara leaned on his elbows and recalled with his eyes upward, it's not bad, at least I've regained my previous level. I don't even remember how many years I haven't played. 6 years, the short-haired Sakaki Hara Suzu, who was sitting on a small stool, squeezed milk tea in her hands and interrupted, I remember, I picked up that guitar from the garbage dump. It was very old. I studied by myself for a period of time, and then I stopped playing the guitar after I broke it. I played pretty well back then. Suzu Sakaki Hara took a sip of milk tea and quickly added. Brother, why didn't you continue before? Raku Sakaki Hara explained helplessly, the guitar was expensive, and I couldn't afford to buy it at that time. My life was much better since I was in junior high school, but I forgot about it because I kept studying and preparing for the entrance examination at Maitoku Junior High School. Although Tianhaijuli Yulai understood what he said, he still found it difficult to empathize with his experience of having no money. Asterisk. In general, everyone in Runto today has a musical foundation. Needless to say, Tianhaijuli Yulai and Tianhaikaimingu. The eldest lady in the Purton never knew the music theory she had learned for many years since she was a child. Julie Yulai is also a genius in classical piano, capable of holding independent concerts. At their level, they only need to transfer years of music theory to different instruments, and the rest is just practice. Don't know if we should say that they are musical geniuses. After seeing the two of them playing a rhythm or a song in a decent manner after just a few days of exposure to complicated instruments such as electronic keyboards and drums, Sakaki Hara's heart almost dropped. No wonder they are called geniuses, they are really geniuses who can learn everything quickly. If he hadn't had the foundation before and the music theory knowledge he learned when learning piano, he wouldn't be able to catch up with them in a rocket. Although Aling is a lazy person, she is not slow at learning, she is just lazy. Ahem, now that we've drank the milk tea, let's try to play in an ensemble and find out how we feel. Ask a question. Sakakihara Suzu raised her hand. Sakakihara looked over and said with a smile, "What a question. Please tell me." Sakakihara Suzu lay on the backrest of the chair and kept squeezing the empty milk tea can. "What song are we going to play together?" "Little Star?" "I'm not very good at guitar yet." No, how can it be as simple as playing a Little Star ensemble? I have already decided on the practice song, Green Day's classic song Wake Me Up When September Ends. This one Suzu Sakakihara remembered that her brother had played and sang in front of her before. "Do you have the music score?" "Yes, I printed it out yesterday." Raku Sakakihara took a stack of paper from his backpack and distributed it to everyone in the music room. To be honest, it's really difficult to find the sheet music for each instrument. Tian Haikimingyu took over the drum set she was responsible for, holding her beautiful chin and looking at it carefully. "Everyone, let's get familiar with it now. Afternoon, we will try to sing a piece together. Aling, you should also learn to sing." "Let me sing this." Suzu Sakakihara looked at the guitar sheet in her hand. "Is that okay? I haven't learned a few chords yet." "I know you're not good at playing guitar yet, so just sing the vocal part first and ignore the guitar in your hand." "Oh. Can you sing a lyrical song in English?" Sakakihara asked again. "Look down on me." "Okay, as long as you are confident, let's get familiar with each other. We will officially start in the afternoon." "Zhigzhu." Tianhai Zhigzhu raised her head blankly. "Is it okay? Let's try to play together in the afternoon," Raku Sakakihara asked. Tianhai Zhigzhu nodded lightly. "Okay, let's get started." Asterisk. Although this Green Day song is indeed very suitable for novice bands to use. However, a few people were only familiar with the instrument enough to be able to use it. Under various difficulties, the time had already reached 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I also ordered takeout for lunch and ate a packed lunch. After practicing like this for a day, Julie Yulai, Zhigzhu, and Aling didn't have any major problems with their electronic keyboards, lead guitars, and vocals. The main problem lies in Nanamai's drum set and Sakakihara Raku's bass. The two of them are not too familiar with the instrument yet. The beat changes quickly and the speed requirements are high. "I'll try again." Chi Minjiu is saying that the main difficulty in playing drums in this song lies in the speed of the beat. In fact, after practicing 2 or 3 times, she already knew clearly where her shortcomings were. These times were just her getting familiar with how to use the drum set more smoothly. Raku Sakakihara's bass is designed to keep the rhythm when playing, highlight each beat in the song, and add different timbres to the song. He knows it too. Music is like this. You know where you are going wrong, but you still have trouble controlling what went wrong. Practice some more. When Raku Sakakihara suggested this, Nanamai didn't say anything at all. He just picked up 2 drumsticks and continued to find the rhythm. Her slender hands held the drumsticks, moving from ride cymbal to ride cymbal, and then quickly back to ride cymbal, while her legs under her skirt also tapped the pedals rhythmically. Wearing headphones, her hands danced lightly like butterflies in the night, and her unwavering expression made every beat of hers clearly identifiable. At first glance, it really looks like that. Sakakihara Raku often observed her, and sometimes he couldn't help but tap his legs to join in a rhythm she repeated many times. Self-practice, ensemble, self-practice, try ensemble over and over again. In this case, the time came to 8 o'clock in the evening. It was already dark. A few people haven't finished their meal yet and are still improving the parts they are responsible for. However, it has indeed reached a level where we can play together. Everyone is more or less tired. It should be said that the fatigue is written on their faces. In order to cheer up everyone's spirits, Sakakibara, who was holding a bass guitar, stood up enthusiastically, clapped his hands and motioned for everyone to look at him. Okay. No matter how you practice today, try to play the whole piece together. Don't interrupt if you make any mistakes. Just play the whole piece together. Aling. Oh. Kurayuri, Sakakihara looked at the girl behind the electronic keyboard who was wearing Audio-Technica monitoring headphones. Ken. Chi Minjio. Tian Haikimingyu, who had her headphones hanging around her neck, nodded slightly. Where's Higsu? Tian Hai's Higsu, who was wearing an electric guitar, responded by scanning a row of notes with an expression on her face. The sound of the electric guitar is quite harsh. Okay, then everything is ready, right? Although this band has only been established for a short time, although this band does not seem to be what it is. But, it's still the first step, right? Raku Sakakihara took a breath of cold air, picked up the bass in his hand, and looked at the brightly lit Tokyo night sky outside the floor-to-ceiling window. After a few seconds of silence, he nodded to everyone, indicating that the ensemble could officially begin. Asterisk. Shit. Apart from shit, Sakakibara no longer knows how to describe today's results. In the warm-colored self-service barbecue restaurant, Raku Sakakibara took a sip from a bottle of juice. All right, Suzu Sakakihara patted her older brother's slightly decadent back. Judging from how well we can get together, isn't this band making progress? Ailing, are you here to make fun of me? How could I? I'm just trying to comfort you, okay? Sakakibara Suzu said, glancing at Amami Kurayuri who ran to get the barbecue ingredients, and deliberately moved closer to Sakakibara Raku, bumping her body against him twice. We have only been playing for less than a week, and we can't sing a song together. Songs aren't a normal thing. That's what I say, but we are not complete novices, so we need to learn Chi Minjio's drum set from scratch. I didn't learn the guitar from scratch, Sakakibara Suzu said, and took the initiative to pour another glass of juice for Sakakibara Raku. It's not like you can't do it if you just sing. Sakakihara glanced at her sister pouring juice for herself strangely. What's wrong? Look at me like this. What's wrong? If the juice is replaced by beer, and the identity is replaced by a boss and a social worker, such an action will not feel inconsistent at all, okay? Be courteous for nothing. What does it mean to be courteous for nothing? You are my brother. Can't I pour you some juice? There's nothing wrong with pouring juice. But you pour it. Raku Sakakibara picked up the cup and used the chandelier of the barbecue restaurant to see through the liquid inside. Is it poisoned? Sakakibara Suzu was angry. Humph, you are stereotyping. You are poisoning? It's so outrageous. I want to poison you and knock you out countless times. Then what's this? Sakakibara brought the juice in front of her. This is my condolences to you after a hard day. Aling, you have changed. I don't have any. You've really changed. No means no. Sakakihara Raku couldn't guess why Suzu was so diligent in pouring juice for him, but she actually learned to serve her brother, which was unprecedented. Is there anything to eat yet? Tianhai's Higsu, who was sitting opposite, asked, her hand already placed on her belly. Sakakibara said, right away, they will be back with the things right away. Brother, why don't you let Higsu get things by herself? It's her first time in the cafeteria. Indeed, this is Tianhai's Higsu's first time at the buffet restaurant. When she knew that everything in the restaurant could be taken and eaten at will, her eyes lit up. As for why she wasn't allowed to get it herself, Sakakibara was afraid that she would grab a certain kind of food and pluck it hard. She was already full before the group started eating. Tianhai Yuli and Tianhai Kaimingyu returned to their seats with the ingredients. Sakeki Hara Raku and Sakeki Hara Suzu sat aside. The snow of Tianhai separates the two sisters of Tianhai in the middle. The three Tianhai sitting across from each other had no communication, and Yak was silent. "Brother, let me grill you some meat." Sakeki Hara Suzu became enthusiastic. She picked up the pieces of meat and threw them on the iron plate. "Aling. What's wrong? I think it's quite weird. You're not you anymore." "What? You don't appreciate the kindness to you?" Sakeki Hara Suzu clenched her fist in front of him. "I'd rather bake it for you." "It's okay, I'll do it." Tianhai Kaimingyu, "It's not that my brother doesn't let my sister Zhang help her bake it, it's just that you don't bake it well." Excessive. Ling's cooking is indeed not delicious. Tianhai's Higsu ate the small cake Yuli brought for herself. "Ah," Sakeki Hara Suzu wanted to scratch her head at the words, "why do you even say that to Lian Xiaoqi?" "Because it's true." Sakakibara remembers that Suzu tried to make a tomato scrambled egg meal for Xiaoqi. She said that she wanted to try to learn cooking again, and asked Xiaoqi to help as a test subject. The result is that it tastes even weirder than the food Yuli cooked at the beginning. Okay, I know you have good intentions, so I'll take care of the barbecue." Hee, brother is still nice to me." After a while, the meat was roasted, and Sakakibara put a piece of it directly into the bowl. She was quite happy, so happy that no one knew why she was so proud. "I always feel that the meat you grill is a level better than others." "Really? Then eat more, pay more attention when practicing, and don't keep dropping the beat." That's not because Chi Minjiu's drums haven't been beaten properly. Tianhai Kaimingyu raised her eyes. "I followed my own rhythm and made no mistakes." "That's right, but that means you didn't cooperate well." Suzu Sakakibara imitated Chi Minjiu's arms, crossed her arms, and looked provocatively. Tianhai Kaimingyu's hostility towards Sister Chan is no longer surprising. "It sounds like you just cooperate with me, Sister Chan." Seeing the two of them starting to fight again for no apparent reason, Sakakibara stopped him directly. "Okay, let's have a barbecue and stop arguing." "Brother, this is baked." Tianhai Julai gave Sakakibara Raku a piece of his favorite pork ribs. "Ah. Well, thank you Liulai." When Tiankai Ju really intervened so suddenly, Sakeki Hara Suzu and Tiankai Nanamage, who were still tit for tat, instantly shifted their focus. Sister really knows how to choose the right time to add meat. "That's right." Sakeki Hara Suzu nodded repeatedly. Tianhai Yuli smiled and said, "It just happened that the ribs were roasted." After saying that, he put another chopstick into Sakeki Hara Raku's bowl. Dot. Both of their eyes were on Yuli's movements. Even Sakakibara Raku fell silent. They were obviously just two pieces of meat, so why did I feel like they were about to fight? Tianhai Yuli said casually while picking up the meat, "Don't look at me like that. My brother will help you grill the meat, and I will help him grill it." Sakeki Hara Suzu curled her lips, tch, attentive. Tianhai Kaimingyu said calmly, "A small favor." Sakeki Hara Raku, Liulai, are you putting me on the fire to roast me? His feet under the table were stepped on twice. "What kind of flight are you doing? Didn't you say you were tired from practicing and came out to have a meal?" Yuki Raku Sakeki Hara looked at Koyuki, the quietest person directly opposite. Do you have anything you want to eat? I'll bake it for you." "That beef tongue, right?" Raku Sakeki Hara immediately put two pieces of beef tongue on the iron rack. After roasting, he immediately put them into her bowl, without giving a few people a chance to grab them. "What does stinky lele mean?" Although this question was asked by Sakakibara Suzu, it also represents the look in the eyes of the two Amamai sisters. "Ah, it's not interesting." Raku Sakeki Hara smiled and pretended to be stupid. you just don't think it's good to have a meal in peace. Needless to say, the remaining tricks really worked and everyone stopped bickering. Seeing that there was no longer any conflict, Raku Sakakihara became enthusiastic and took the initiative to assume the role of barbecue minister, livening up the atmosphere. Come on, you can eat it yourself. You don't need to pick it up for me. You can eat it yourself if you want. In fact, the atmosphere was much better without the quarrels. The smoke of fireworks in the barbecue shop became stronger and stronger as time went by. Raku Sakakihara took the initiative to start the conversation with today's practice, and everyone began to express their thoughts. There is no doubt that today's ensemble failed. Tianhai Kaimingyu put down her chopsticks and said, "I'm so full. What do you think I should do?" Suzu Sakakibara touched her belly, complaining that she couldn't eat, and stuffing meat into her mouth. Practice. TCH, I thought you had any great ideas. Tianhai Yuli also put down his chopsticks and said, "Actually, we formed a band without knowing anything about rock. We have no sense of direction other than knowing how to practice the music." Raku Sakakibara understood what he said, saying that he was a layman in short. We don't know where the band is going to perform, we don't know what short-term goals we want to accomplish, and we don't know how to effectively work together. Sakakihara Suzu seemed to understand. You mean, we are all outsiders? We need to find an insider to help guide us. Tianhai Yuli nodded. Sakakihara Suzu continued to ask, do you know anyone who plays rock music and bands? Everyone shook their heads. The people I know are all in the classical music circle, Tianhai Yuli said, holding her chin and thinking for a while. They are either violinists or orchestral musicians. They should know each other in pop music, but we have no reason to ask each other to come to us for a long time. The problem? Wouldn't it be better to pay for it? Sakakibara hit his sister on the head with a knife. Have you forgotten what we said? Don't use the power of the Amami family. It's not like this, Suzu Sakakihara said aggrievedly, it's just about collecting money to hire a consultant. How much money do you have left after renting a music room and buying musical instruments? Do you know how much your guitar costs? How much does my bass cost? How much does a July electronic keyboard cost? There is also a pair of monitoring equipment, speakers and cables, microphone and so on, not to mention Chi Minjiu's drum set. I know it's an astronomical figure, but isn't Chi Minjiu in charge of the company? Let her make some money and use it. Sakakihara hit her on the head with a knife again. We have agreed that our band will be self-reliant in addition to some initial capital. And we are not a company, not a bank, so there is no reason to take it casually. You're still relying on your own efforts. It's only been a few days, and you're going to be so poor that you have no money. Then why don't you use your salary to help everyone? What? I don't want it, I'll save it for my future wedding. Tianhai Kaimingyu suddenly interjected, at present, our level still needs to be improved by consultants. We can't even sing a song well. Even calling a consultant is just embarrassing. However, we can indeed put the consultant's affairs on the target in advance. How much money does our band have left now? If each person contributes about 150,000 yen, there will be more than 100,000 yen left. There is no doubt that as long as they borrow money from the Tianhai family, this team's funds will probably be so strong that no team in the country can match them. But what's the point? Is this a band? Everyone knows that without pressure, there will be a lack of motivation. If they don't put some restrictions on themselves, how can they allow the band to officially enter the Budokan with their lifelong ability to eat and drink? So everyone decided not to borrow help from the Tianhai family. Although with the pocket money of Tianhai Yuli and Tianhai Kaimingyu, it is impossible for everyone to be short of pocket money. How can we hire people if there are so few? Why don't you Chi Minjiu invest some more in our place? Tianhai Kaimingyu hummed softly, What was promised is fairness and justice? 5 people are equal. I will invest 500,000, can you add another 500,000? If this doesn't work, half of my savings will be lost, Sakakihara Suzu muttered, I still want to get married. Nothing came out of the discussion around team funding, but everyone decided on the same idea. That's the thing, the band really needs a consultant. You really don't know anyone? No. Everyone said no. Where's Yuki? Ah, forget it. Sakakihara Raku was just about to ask Yuki, who plays rock and roll, if she knew her peers, when he suddenly remembered her identity as a squatter at home. How is this possible? Wait a minute, Sakakihara Suzu stood up suddenly. She remembered something, I seem to know someone. Who? Senior. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tou Lan. Chapter 243. Suzuki, you're saying that you want me to be your band's consultant. In the port area, inside a high-rise residential building. Now Yoshihara, who was wearing a homely woolen sweater, held a lollipop in her mouth, leaning her upper body forward and resting her elbows on her knees. She felt keen interest in the topic raised by the junior in front of her. She narrowed her eyes and smiled with her little tiger teeth. Yasuzu Sakakihara, who had just visited, clasped her hands in front of her seniors and nodded obediently. Don't you, seniors, always talk about the band you played in college? It was still a fairly famous team at the time. Sakakihara Suzu had heard other seniors chatting while working. They said that Miss Yoshihara was quite famous as a guitar vocalist in college, and the band she formed with her classmates even won a gold medal in a national competition. It's a pity that it was short-lived, because the band had to disband on the spot due to the health of its teammates. Well, it's really a pity to say it, ha. Not long after now Yoshihara got up, she yawned, raised her waist, and stretched. Then she relaxed instantly, held the lollipop and sighed, oh, I can obviously go further. But it ended early, saying that a lot of youth, passion, and dreams are no match for physical defects. It is indeed a pity. Yoshihara now sighed with emotion while eating a lollipop in her mouth, and then asked Sakakihara Suzu. Who is in your band? My brother, my 2 sworn sisters, and 1. She should be regarded as my aunt. Is Sakakibara-kun here too? Now Yoshihara laughed. There are also the 3 eldest ladies of the Amamai family, right? Huh? Senior, do you know them? Sakakihara Suzu found that Senior seemed to know them. It's hard not to know them in the political circle of my family. Now Yoshihara shook her head and said, but then again, Suzu-chan, your stepfather is actually the eldest son of that family. If your identity is spread to the office, there will definitely be no one if you dare to gossip behind your back. What happened before will never happen. Sakakihara Suzu heard something behind her senior's words, and her eyes flashed with doubts. Yoshihara now noticed the light in her eyes and asked curiously, you haven't forgotten, have you? Weren't Yumi and Nomura gossiping about you behind your back some time ago? That's it? Sakakihara Suzu remembered the 2 female seniors gossiping about her in the bathroom. Not only did he say it, but he also conveyed the bad things about them to other male voice actors in a subtle way, saying that he relied on certain aspects to get to the top. As unpleasant as it sounds. However, the result is good. There will be a long period of time when they will not get any roles. Although their lives will not be over here, they don't know how many years of progress they will be delayed. But why do seniors know so clearly? Sakakihara Suzu was already suspicious because they suddenly stopped gossiping about her. Could it be said that he is a senior? It's not me, it's your brother who asked me to do it. Ling-chan, your brother actually cares about you very much. Last time he sent you to the company, he even bent over and asked Nanamai and I to take care of you. This is also a favor he asked me to help you with. Sakakihara Suzu didn't know that Sakakihara Raku was so concerned about her matter. It turns out it was all because of that guy. Hi Suzu-chan, Suzu-chan, Suzu-chan. Now Yoshihara waved in front of Sakakihara Suzu 3 times in a row before finally calling her back to consciousness. As for doing your consultant's work, it's not impossible. Really? The premise is that you introduce your brother to me. Your brother is quite handsome and suits my taste. No. Ah Suzu-chan, are you jealous? No. Yoshihara Nao's little tiger-toothed smile became even brighter. Okay, I'm just kidding. Since Suzu-chan is asking me to do the band thing, there's nothing I can do about it. Besides, it's not a bad thing to know someone who knows the Amami family. Senior agreed. Barely, the band, I really miss it. I have to go and see how your band is doing, and then you have to promise to listen to me when it comes to band decisions and implement what I say. Of course there's no problem with that. After all, I'm a guidance counselor. I don't have the chance to take care of you during working hours, so you should remember this. Of course this is the case. Okay, let's go. Huh. Now. What else? Today is a white Christmas, and I plan to treat you to a meal. Let's go. Okay, okay. Asterisk. 1024 Roppongi 7 Chome, Minato-ku, Tokyo. Sakakibara Raku, who was still practicing with his bass in his arms, did not expect that Suzu would directly invite Yoshihara-senpai over the next morning. Good morning, senior. Hey, you chose this place pretty well. After Yoshihara now came in, she held her chin and looked around, and began to visit the various equipment in the music room. Her eyes first fell in front of Amami Nanamajetsu. On a set of drums, Yamaha's RC? Oh. You can actually buy this classic style. Then I saw Julie Yuli's electronic keyboard. EU425. Then there's the bass played by Raku Sakakibara and the electric guitar played by Amami Wayuki. BBP 34 and SG 1820. Now Yoshihara finally withdrew her gaze and thought, how come they are all expensive musical instruments, and they are all Yamaha? After all, we went out to buy it together. Raku Sakakihara nodded towards now Yoshiwara. Good morning, senior. Sakakibara-kun. Good morning. Now Yoshihara also greeted her seriously. It's been a long time since I last saw you. Why haven't you visited your sister's office recently? Sakakibara smiled and said, I usually go there, but I'm usually at the entrance of the office, so I didn't get to see senior. Teeth are white. Suzu-chan's brother smiles too much for her liking. Now Yoshihara tried her best to maintain her facial expression. Oh, that's right. So Sakakibara-kun is the leader of this team. Barely, senior, let me reintroduce you to the band members and their current responsibilities in the band. Yeah. Although it was not the first time they met, it was the first time Yoshihara now came here, and Sakakihara Raku carefully introduced everyone's identities. Regarding Yoshihara-senpai, Sakakihara Suzu deliberately learned about it online when Suzu went to ask for his opinion. In one sentence, Yoshihara-senpai is a genuine senior. Not only was he quite capable in the band during his college days. As the lead singer, she had several hits in the past. Later, the band disbanded, and then she entered the field of voice acting. As a former C position, her experience in the band is much higher than that of several people present. There is nothing wrong with being a consultant. After Yoshihara-senpai learned about the band, he narrowed his eyes and smiled and said, it's very good, it has the atmosphere of a high school band. Then she asked several people to try out a solo rhythm in front of her. She didn't comment, just silently observed everyone's performance. After Sakakihara's bass attempt was completed, Yoshihara now clapped her hands and motioned for everyone to look at her. I already understand the general situation. First of all, I need to confirm, what is your goal? Budoka. Budokana. Now Yoshiwara's expression was ordinary. Although this goal is too far away for high school students, she thinks it is a good thing to have such an ambitious goal. That must be the ultimate goal. With your current strength, it's impossible. Are there any staged goals? Although Sakakibara doesn't know much about rock bands, but he still has interim goals. Successfully completed an ensemble performance on an underground stage. Oh, there is quite a direction. Well, then what are you going to do? Now Yoshihara twitched her back and glanced at the 5 people with different personalities in front of them. Practice as hard as you can and prepare for the next performance. How long have you been practicing? It's been a week. Have you ever tried playing in an ensemble? I tried, but the problem was huge and the cooperation was not very good. Is there any insider channel? This does not. Yeah, I understand. This is what you need most right now. After all, performances require a venue. If you don't know anyone, why don't you confirm again? You all have a foundation in music theory, right? Only Chi Minjiu's drum set is learned from scratch. Musical instrument. Yes. Well, since you have acknowledged that I am such a guide, I will give your little team a meeting gift. Meeting gift? Sakakihara suddenly had a bad feeling. Sure enough, now Yoshihara laughed, and her little tiger teeth were exposed. She playfully stretched out a finger. Today, Christmas night, in Shinjuku, there is a street flash mob. Dot. 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 Everyone was silent. Don't be so lethargic. Cheer up. After saying that, she happily took a selfie and said, applause, applause. Sakakihara Suzu took the lead in elongating her voice. Street flash mob. Or on Christmas Eve. Sakakibara hugged Bess and couldn't help but ask, Senior, are you sure? Yes, sure. This outrageous decision even made the usually steady Tianhai Julie Yulai express his opinion, but Senior, our band has only been established for a week. We practiced separately before, and we just tried to play together yesterday. With our current level, we can't play together for a long time. If you can't even perform the song well, how can you suddenly run into a flash mob on the street? Yoshiwara now waved her hand. Don't worry, besides, Juliuri, you and Chi Minjiu are famous piano girls, and I don't know how many fans they have outside. Ling also has a very good voice, and you don't know how many fans on Twitter want to ask her to sing a cover song. But Senior, that's classical piano, not pop rock. Tianhai Julie Yulai said seriously. It's all the same now. Yoshihara waved her hand again. Dot. Senior. Raku Sakakihara wanted to say something more, but now Yoshihara put her hands together and interrupted him with a pop sound. Okay, that's it? It's not noon yet, you should hurry up and rehearse. At 6 o'clock in the afternoon, I will call a car to transport the instruments. At 7 o'clock, there will be a flash mob. Come on and practice. I will go to the street, go buy some food, bye. There was a snap. The door closed, and all that was left were the people in the classroom looking at each other. Ah! Yuki, Suzu Sakakihara pinched Amami Yuki's slender shoulders and shook her back and forth. Yet Tianhai's Higsu responded dully, his head swaying back and forth in accordance with her movements. What should I do? I'm going to go to the streets with my brother and the others to do a flash mob. What is that? Tianhai's Higsu shook her head, making her voice sound a little choppy. It's just an unexpected performance, Suzu Sakakibara said loudly. You don't know how social that thing is. You suddenly run up to a bunch of people and suddenly say that you want to perform in front of them. If the performance is good, it's okay. It's a performance. No, can you imagine a bunch of people watching you and shaking their heads at you? It's nothing. It's nothing, it's super serious, okay. I'm still the lead singer. I have to stand at the front. What if the fans recognize me? Compared to Suzu's frenzy, Sakaki Hararaku is much calmer, but that's all. He felt bitter. If anything, yesterday's ensemble was shit. So today, on this Christmas Eve, they are going to show this shit in front of passers-by on the street. It's as embarrassing as you want, okay. Amamai Kuruori also smiled bitterly at Sakaki Bararaku and said, it's a bit forced. How are you getting used to the electronic keyboard, Julie Yulai? Compared with the piano, is there any difference? Raku Sakaki Hara, who had a bass strap hanging around his neck, turned to ask. Tianhai Julie Yulai lowered his head and glanced at the Yamaha electronic keyboard in front of him. Well, how should I put it? The keys of the electronic keyboard cannot provide feedback like a piano, and cannot sense the speed and strength of the keystrokes during performance. Brother knows that the strength of the piano keys is different, and the timbre is also different. Right? But when you press the electronic keyboard, you get a single note, which has nothing to do with the intensity, so I'm a little bit unaccustomed to it. That's it, I understand. Sakaki Baro looked towards the sky. Nanamai Moon again, where is Nanamai Moon? Tianhai Kaimingyu sat upright behind a pile of drums. She didn't seem worried about tonight's flash mob. It's okay, knowing how to make jumpy and smooth differentiating phrases requires jumpy play. Sakaki Hararaku was speechlessly shocked. Why do you learn so quickly? You have already mastered the basic drum skills, right? The faceless Tianhai Kaimingyu said calmly, it's nothing. The difficulty of drum set lies in rhythm and control. With the knowledge of music theory, you only need to understand what is wrong and practice it so that your body can remember how to play. Chi Minjiu's musicality is very powerful. Tianhai Julie Yulai suddenly interjected. Sakaki Hararaku cannot deny the sound of Nanamayu. I don't know if she was born with it or if she was trained like that by her aunt. When she played the violin for herself, she chose a song and let her listen to it several times, and she was able to immediately take down the music score and apply it to the violin. But Chi Minjiu is definitely putting it lightly. Others don't know that it will take several months to master these key points. Sister, it's better not to talk. What's wrong? Tianhai Julie Yulai looked at her. It's nothing, I just don't want to hear it. Tianhai Kaimingyu turned her face to one side. The facial expression is not annoying, but this action is already annoying. Tianhai Julie Yulai also noticed his sister's action. Sakaki Hararaku also observed this. Alas, not only has the relationship between the two sisters not reconciled, but it has become increasingly cold recently. They only have good looks when they meet him alone. When they get together, they definitely don't speak and treat each other coldly. Sakaki Hara held the head of the piano with his left hand, closed his eyes and said, don't quarrel. Now is not the time to dislike each other. Didn't we all agree before joining this band? We are not only family members, but also companions. How great that we can get together and move forward and work hard for the same thing. The one thing you can't ask for? To live in harmony. Difficulties are bound to happen. Who doesn't have difficulties yet? Just be calm, okay? You must know that in yesterday's song, Julie Yulai's electronic keyboard also needed Chi Minjiu and your drum set to lead the rhythm. You are all important. Sakaki Hararaku was actually speaking for Julie Yulai. Julie Yulai understood and felt very grateful. Chi Minjiu also knew that her words were irritating, so she did not express any other dissatisfaction. After Sakaki Bararaku spoke, both Tianhai sisters fell silent. Sakaki Harasuzu was watching the battle from the sidelines, but she could understand the conflicts between several people. One likes his brother, and the other is in a relationship with his brother. One hates the other person very much, and the other seems to want to reconcile with the other person. Although she could understand Julie Yuli's thoughts, how could this be possible, taking advantage of someone else's crush and still wanting to reconcile? When the two of them get along in private, they might fight or pull each other's hair. Now it seems that I can control them. It was a fierce enough battle. It must be hard for me to be caught between them, right? Where can I, Sakeki Harasuzue, be safe and sound? Thinking of this, Sakeki Harasuzu couldn't help but raise the corners of her mouth, feeling smug. Humph, hum, 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 hum. Ling, you're smiling. Because I'm happy. What are you happy about? Are you ready to eat? Tianhai's Higsu sat next to her obediently. No, it's not food, it's other happy things dash. Okay, Sakakibara was pleased to see that everyone was quite quiet, so he announced directly, although I also think it is impossible to complete a flash mob performance at night, we still have some time now, so let's practice as soon as possible for the evening performance, we must take it seriously.